Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. I, Uchiha Itachi, become the 10th member of the Straw Hats. Chapter 81. That old man is a former Marine general. Who is that? While the pirates were asking questions, Ariel stretched out his prosthetic limb to block the shock wave. The shock wave spread from his hand and shattered the top of the trading center building. Blackbeard, I don't know how you got in, but if you dare to provoke Rilkland, then do it. Before Ariel finished speaking, he saw a bullet coming towards him. He immediately dodged, but he was still half a beat too late, and an armor-piercing bullet had penetrated his ribs. This bullet was silent at all, and the pirates only saw Ariel standing on the second floor slowly kneeling down. Just on the side of the hall, the Blackbeard pirate's sniper, Van Oka's gun was still emitting smoke. Ha 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 ha, thief, Blackbeard laughed wildly when he saw this scene. You are really old-fashioned, a waste of the previous generation. Then next, show up. Blackbeard raised his hands in the air, and half of the armored troops at the trade fair walked toward Blackbeard. The remaining armored troops still wanted to attack Blackbeard without knowing why, but the armor on their bodies had already sounded a series of explosions. In the audience, a man in a black mask wearing a gentleman's top hat smiled. Hey, I thought I didn't find the Xiao Xiao fruit, but I didn't expect to see such an interesting thing. Luo, Itachi and Freeze had also stood up. Master Itachi, are you leaving? The situation is a bit unclear. Let's retreat first. After the two finished speaking, they took Freeze and were about to leave, but at this moment, one of the armored troops standing behind Blackbeard took off his helmet. Black wings sprouted from his back and flew to the gate. Sorry, please don't move for now. Our captain has something to say. After the man took off his mask, a pirate immediately recognized him. This is the 5th captain of the Blackbeard pirates, Devil Sheriff, Lafitte. The pale-skinned Lafitte smiled slightly, put on a black top hat and took out a familiar cane. On the second floor, Ariel was half kneeling down, and the fire scars on his face were shaking with anger. Blackbeard, have you infiltrated Rilkland? Yes, did you just see it? Ha ha ha. Blackbeard waved his hand and shattered the entire trading venue in one fell swoop. Outside the field, the armored troops wearing red armbands were fighting fiercely with the original armored troops. They all know very well that there is no future for Rilkland following such an old-fashioned thing as you. You are already a remnant of the old era and should sink into the sea. You fool! The old man with the fire scar face roared angrily, and a dozen purple rays of light burst out from his body and attacked Blackbeard. However, Blackbeard opened his other hand, and the ability of the dark fruit appeared. Dark water. The black vortex immediately absorbed and dissolved all the dozens of rays of light. Blackbeard hit a shock wave with his backhand. Ariel wanted to dodge, but Van Oka shot him in the calf again. Boom! The shock wave hits his ear. The armored troops wanted to attack Van Oka, but Van Oka turned around and easily knocked down 3 armored troops with a few shots. This is an armor-piercing bullet specially prepared for you. Van Auer laughed contemptuously. By the way, this armor-piercing projectile was made by Rilkland. You fools! As Ariel yelled, he now regretted letting the dragon leave just now. Just now, he vowed to let Long retain his strength and concentrate on expanding the Revolutionary Army's territory and influence during the World Conference. But now, there was already a chaos in the trading center, and the armored troops outside the city were engaged in a fierce battle with the Blackbeard pirates. However, just when the armored troops were about to use the weapons on the city wall, the evil government king, Pizarro, who was also hidden in the armored troops and served as the captain, had already launched a counterattack against the armored troops on the city tower. Seeing that the pirates in the trading center were in chaos beyond control, Blackbeard shouted. Quiet! He looked around at the masked pirates. Don't worry, my plan is not to kill everyone here. It's true that we are an ambitious pirate group, but we are not aimless brutality. Let me ask you first, Blackbeard pointed at Ariel. The simplest question, don't you think the current trading commission for Rilkland is too expensive? These words instantly found a spearhead for the chaotic pirates. What he said seems to make sense. That's right, I've always felt that the transactions here are too expensive. If it weren't for the fact that this was the only underground black market where transactions could be stable, I wouldn't want to come. That's the problem. Thief ha ha ha. Blackbeard laughed. I came here just to establish a new Rilkeland, a new black market trading order. Now, I will declare an iron rule. Rilkeland is in my hands. After the new black market transformation is completed, all the high and other fees will be cancelled. All pirates who come here to trade will only receive 3% of the total amount for each transaction. What do you think? After hearing what Blackbeard said and looking at each other, the pirates all thought it was okay. As expected of 4 emperors. That makes sense. Ha ha ha. Then I'll announce it next. Our battle this time is only against all the resistors in Rilkeland. It has nothing to do with you. We will never hurt you. Then, if there is anyone here who wants to join the Blackbeard pirates, they will share the plundered materials from Rilkeland. Of course, if there are those who don't want to join, then wait until we capture Rilkeland and the city gates are wide open to let you go to sea. After Blackbeard finished speaking, the pirates began to cheer. Blackbeard continued to target the injured Ariel. He jumped onto the auction table and launched an attack on Ariel. Even Fleisch thought Blackbeard was such a good pirate. Why do I think he is different from the rumors? Blink. At this time, Lafitte, who was guarding the gate, smiled evilly. Of course, before that, we have a small request. Request? What request? Lafitte waved his cane and swept across all the pirates. In order to ensure the safety of everyone's goods traded this time, the goods you traded this time will be exchanged for you at 30% of the gold price. And for the remaining goods, we will issue you new transaction currencies according to their value. When we reopen, you can bring this new currency to enjoy trading auctions at preferential prices. What? The pirate closest to Lafitte said, dissatisfied. Do you mean to detain our treasure? No, No, it's to ensure your safety. Lafitte smiled evilly. Of course, if you want to join the Blackbeard pirates here, there is no need to ensure your safety, because you and your goods will be protected by us. As soon as these words came out, the pirates started talking again. At this time, Itachi in the crowd spoke up and asked Lafitte. When can we leave? Right now, but you must do what I just said. Fleisch panicked when he heard this. Brothers, what should I do? I don't want my baby to be detained. Blink. Lafitte left a passage open for the pirates to leave. However, if you want to go against the Blackbeard pirates, you have to consider the consequences. While Lafitte was speaking, Luo, who had already built the force field, activated his ability and instantly switched positions with Lafitte. Lafitte's eyes changed, and before he could react, Itachi's Fenghalan was already on his neck. Do not move. This scene immediately stunned all the pirates and armored troops. Blackbeard, who was beating Ariel to defeat, also turned around. Ah, what does this mean? Just when Blackbeard saw Weasel's cat face mask, he suddenly remembered that this was the guy he had seen from the fried rice restaurant. After being replaced, Lafitte looked sideways at his original position and smiled. Is there a change of location? It seems that the former 7 warlords of the sea, Trafalgar Law, is here. Trafalgar. Did the man who hunted the hearts of 100 famous pirates become Shichibukai's supernova? Many pirates looked at Luo, who was wearing a white bear mask. Lafitte pulled out the pistol from his waist and was about to eject it at waist level, but almost instantly his hand was twisted by Itachi on the table, and the pistol fell aside. I think I've already told you not to move. The knife edge had already wiped blood on Lafitte's neck. He seems to be a troublesome person. Lafitte raised his uncontrollable hand. Fanoka was adjusting his position when he discovered that the angle of the cat-faced masked man holding Lafitte was very precise. He was almost completely hidden behind Lafitte, making it impossible for him to snipe. Blackbeard, who stormed up to the 2nd floor, severely injured Ariel with 2 punches, and then punched him out of the trading center. Are you worthy of being called an admiral with the same name as the former Marine Fleet Admiral Cyborg? Ha 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 ha, it really makes people laugh out loud. Right at the trade fair, several elite cadres from Rilkeland were already fighting against the elites of the Blackbeard pirates brought by the Xuanyu Hunter, Katrine Diame and the Big Drunkard, Basque Chote. Fighting fiercely, completely held back. Blackbeard's recruitment policy has long been communicated to various gangs entrenched in Rilkeland, so when he attacked, almost all gangs were in a wait-and-see state. Hey, you are responsible for getting rid of the cat-faced masked man in Trafalgar Law. We don't have time to fight with them now. Blackbeard shouted down. Yes, Captain. Lafitte smiled calmly. So my friend, what do you want to do next? It's very simple. Itachi said. Create a way for us. We do not accept your new trading rules and release all our ships and cargo. While speaking, Itachi was still adjusting his position to prevent Fanoka's sniper attack, and the venue was already in complete chaos. Are these just the requirements? Absolutely. While Lafitte was smiling, an armored soldier who moved behind Weasel already wanted to launch a sneak attack on Weasel. Watch your move. When the armored soldier jumped up, Itachi's Mangekyo had appeared. But before he could make eye contact with the armored soldier, a man wearing a gentleman's hat and goggles suddenly came out halfway. His hands were in the shape of a weird claw, and he smashed the armored soldier's helmet in one fell swoop. Passed out immediately. If things develop so interestingly, I would also like to participate. The man wearing a gentleman's hat said with a smile. But smiling, a pair of eyes under the man's mask looked at Blackbeard, with hatred bursting out. I even want to kill this guy. Seeing that the situation in the trading center was already in chaos, most of the pirates' first choice was to escape, but some of them stayed. They were eager to watch this battle that would turn into something unknown. At this time, just when Luo had changed positions to Fanoka, Blackbeard, who had defeated Ariel, struck a shock wave that shook the entire club. Ha ha ha, do you want to challenge the majesty of the Blackbeard pirates? You can definitely give it a try. Fanoka used his gun to block with his backhand, but his melee reaction was too slow. Luo slashed Fanoka in half with his gun and knife. The boss of Itachi, Luo shouted, and Itachi quickly let go of Lafitte, turned around and came to Lafitte. Lafitte was just astonished as to why Itachi let go of him, when he already looked at Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan. In an instant, Lafitte was pulled into the bloody world of Tsukuyomi. Mountains of swords and seas of fire were at his feet, and axes fell on his hands. Lafitte subconsciously wanted to use the haki he was not good at to block, but in just this second of time, Itachi in reality had already stabbed him through the abdomen. Lafitte completely passed out. Itachi kicked him into Fleisch's arms. Get it, he is unconscious now. Don't let him bleed to death. Fleisch had just grabbed the ground with his front feet without falling into the crack, and quickly opened his hands with his back feet to take over the unconscious Lafitte. I know, this is a hostage. Wink. Fanoka, who was still half alive, took out the pistol from his waist and shot at Fleisch, but was knocked away by Itachi. The armored troops that came up on the right side had been knocked down one by the man wearing a gentleman's top hat with his dragon claw hand. The man turned his head and saw that Blackbeard was already rushing towards Weasel. Cat-faced brother, be careful. Itachi has seen Blackbeard fall to the ground, and the Itachi seal immediately sends out Phoenix Sage Fire. Seeing the fireball coming, Blackbeard opened the dark fruit in his other hand and absorbed the Phoenix Sage Fire. Haha, thief, you dared to kill Fanoka and Lafitte, you are tired of living. Even the bullshit iron wall defense of Rilkelander was easily defeated by me, so what do you guys mean? Blackbeard raised one hand to the sky and used the dark fruit ability to cover the room force field that Luo had built, and hit Itachi with a shock wave. Itachi had just seen the power of this shock wave, and he quickly jumped into the air to avoid it. But he didn't expect that the shock wave would spread so widely, and one of Itachi's legs was directly injured by the shock wave. Die to me. Blackbeard once again condensed a shock wave and raised his hand to attack in the direction of Itachi, but Itachi, who was shocked by the shock wave, suddenly disappeared with a bump. This is. When Blackbeard was astonished, the man wearing a gentleman's top hat had already opened his armed and domineering dragon-clawed hands and attacked him. You fool Blackbeard. Seeing this, Blackbeard opened his hand covered in dark water to block the man's dragon claw hand, and pressed the dragon claw hand into the ground in one fell swoop, causing an explosion. Dragon claw. Why do I feel like I've seen it somewhere before? The man was about to wave his other hand to attack, but he found that his hand was sucked by the black light emitted. Seeing this, the man drew his bow, twisted his body, raised his dragon claw and pinched Blackbeard's head. Dragon claw. But before he could attack and reach Blackbeard, Blackbeard shattered in front of the man with a shock wave. This punch directly sent the man flying dozens of meters, and the shock wave had shattered his mask. Luo, who was attacking with the armored troops, recognized at a glance that this man was the captain of the Revolutionary Army. That guy's name is Sob. After being seriously injured by Blackbeard, Sabo stood up with a carp blow, and his mouth was already bloodshot. Blackbeard, what kind of ability does it have, and why does it make me powerless? Sabo's impression of Blackbeard's twin fruits was that they could only absorb the Logia ability and release the shock wave captured from Whitebeard. Ha ha ha, thief, who are you? It turns out you are the chief of general staff of the Revolutionary Army. Why are you here, a fool like you? As Blackbeard spoke, he suddenly turned his head. No, where is that cat-faced brat? Just when Blackbeard was looking to see where Weasel was, Luo looked at Blackbeard in confusion. He saw Sabo's attack just now. It was a physical body strike covered with armed domineering energy. According to the ability of the dark fruit, it is impossible to be absorbed. He remembered that the dark fruit can absorb natural attack energy, even Itachi's fire attack just now, and can also temporarily invalidate the abilities of devil fruit users, but it does not absorb physical attacks. Ha ha ha, thief, did you escape? Relkland is now surrounded by Laozi's fleet. Let me see where you can run. While Blackbeard was laughing, Sabo was already attacking Blackbeard again. He first launched a melee attack with Blackbeard. Blackbeard sent a shock wave towards Sabo. Sabo dodged in the air. At the same time that he was affected by the shock wave, Sabo's dragon claw had already killed Blackbeard. But Blackbeard instantly raised his right hand wrapped in dark water to defend himself, and Sabo's dragon claw was sucked in again. Sabo once again felt a strong suction that made him unable to get away. Wasn't it useless just now? I want to do it again. Blackbeard raised his fist wrapped in shock waves and attacked Sabo, but at this moment, the ground under his feet suddenly became soft and collapsed. Earth-style mudflow. When Blackbeard was wondering about the situation under his feet, his fist wrapped in shock waves had transformed into the dark water of the dark fruit. He grabbed the struggling Sabo with one hand, and absorbed the soft ground beneath his feet with the other. At this time, Itachi on the second floor raised the wind fire forest that activated the armed color and rushed towards Blackbeard. Blackbeard looked sideways as he blocked Itachi's attack with one hand. Even Feng Huolin, who was wearing Weasel's armor, was attracted by Blackbeard. I said, where have you been? It turns out you were conducting a sneak attack. Blackbeard picked up Itachi and Sabo and threw them away in one fell swoop. After being thrown in the direction of Luo, Sabo fell into the seat and jumped out immediately. Itachi, who was in the air, also rolled several times to relieve himself before he could stand still. Seeing Sabo next to him, Luo immediately asked, Brother, you are not a devil fruit user, right? That's right, I haven't eaten the fruit yet. Sabo waved his hand in confusion and assumed an attack stance. He originally planned to come here to the auction to see if there was any news about burning the fruit. This time he didn't bring any weapons at all. That's weird. Luo instantly changed positions and kicked Fanoka over. Just now he had knocked off the pistol of Fanoka, who only had the upper body. He didn't expect that Fanoka wanted to touch the gun. Luo looked at Itachi. He was about to say that he couldn't stay here for long. The way the two of them had just discussed to escape was to kidnap a Blackbeard crew member and then take him hostage to escape. Now there was only one last step left. The two of them had safely evacuated to the port. Koro found that Itachi had already raised his knife, and he looked at Blackbeard with eyes full of thinking. Ha ha ha. Seeing that the two men had stopped moving for the time being, Blackbeard laughed wildly again. Do you think that knowing my fruit information will be useful? I can tell you now that my dark fruit can not only absorb Logia's energy. Blackbeard's eyes were full of arrogance. I can even absorb physical attacks. Now, my darkness fruit is enough to absorb everything, thief, ha ha ha. After seeing the scene just now and hearing what Blackbeard said, the pirates who were still watching the battle in this dilapidated trade fair couldn't help but feel a chill. I have long heard that Blackbeard's weakness in Four Emperors is physical attacks. Now even this is ineffective against him. Blackbeard's arrogant eyes had turned to Itachi. It seems that you want to kidnap my crew members to force us to find a way out. If that's the case, then let me have some fun with you. Blackbeard pointed his open palm at Itachi. Dark water. He suddenly released his suction force towards Itachi. Luo Yi yelled in panic. Be careful, boss. He can suck people with abilities into his hands. However, when Blackbeard's palm was pointed at Itachi, he was confused. Itachi actually stood there, not attracted to him. Blackbeard was a little confused. He clearly saw Itachi releasing his fire ability just now. Itachi has now determined that ninjutsu seems useless to him. He raised his knife and was about to charge again. At this moment, Blackbeard suddenly raised his palm, and all the rocks on the ground that had been absorbed were released, and they hit Itachi directly with Blackbeard's wave. Seeing this, Sabo kicked Blackbeard again. However, the situation was still the same as before. Blackbeard opened his hand and sucked Sabo in. Then he sucked Itachi, who had dodged the rocks. He slammed the two of them together and kicked them away. Because Sabo was in front of him and Itachi was behind Sabo, the damage was almost entirely on Sabo's body. Sabo was kicked to the point where he vomited blood. Sabo stood up again and wiped the blood from his mouth. Upon seeing this, Luo had already expanded the room field, but this force field wave visible to the naked eye was directly absorbed by Blackbeard's dark fruit. Ha ha ha, thief, do you still want to use your ability? Blackbeard aimed at Luo, and the shock wave that shook the fruit had already appeared. Seeing this, Luo quickly dodged, and a shock wave directly cracked the air. The cracks caused by the shock wave spread directly to hundreds of meters away. After dodging the blow, Luo shouted towards Itachi, "Let's go, master, now is not the time to fight him." Sabo was very unconvinced and raised his dragon claw hand again. How on earth did this despicable fool do it? Just as he was about to attack Blackbeard again, Itachi stretched out his hand and stopped him. "I come." Itachi in Mangekyo Sharingan state stepped forward. "Ha ha ha ha, you idiots, do you still want to challenge the power of the dark fruit?" Blackbeard became more interested, and he directly released the dark water from both hands. Seeing this, Itachi had already formed another seal. Fire-style Great Fireball technique. Again, Blackbeard opened his palm and directly absorbed the Great Fireball. "It's useless." Blackbeard raised his legs under his big belly and rushed forward against the Great Fireball. Just when Sabo was surprised at why Itachi could emit flames, he suddenly discovered that a fiery red bone had transformed into Itachi's arm. Just when the Great Fireball was absorbed by the dark water, Itachi, holding the Susanoo fist, had already raised his fist and appeared in front of Blackbeard. Ability again. "You are so funny." Blackbeard releases a large amount of dark water. "Ha ha ha, I just said that my fruit can." Boom. Just as Blackbeard laughed and sucked the dark water towards Itachi's Susanoo's fist, the Susanoo's fist covered with armed haki penetrated his dark water with one blow, sending Blackbeard flying directly out of the trading center. Hiccup. Injured by this punch, Blackbeard screamed in agony. Just as he was about to get up, Itachi carrying the Susanoo fist had already rushed out. This. Dark water. Blackbeard released dark water again, but his ability was useless in front of the Susanoo fist. Itachi punched him into the ground. Blackbeard screamed heartbreakingly, and when he was about to spread the shock wave in a hurry, Itachi had already opened his Susanoo hand and held him tightly. Blackbeard, who was gripped by Weasel, could hear his bones crackling. "Why can't I absorb it?" "Because you can't absorb physical attacks at all." Itachi's Mangekyo looked straight at Blackbeard. Blackbeard's eyes suddenly widened when he heard this. "I don't know if you are overconfident and arrogant, or if you are just pretending to be a lie. But it doesn't matter." Itachi already felt that this guy was not like the Marine General Kizaru who could naturalize his body. Blackbeard looked at Itachi with his mouth full of blood, and he suddenly discovered that a pool of blood had flowed out of Itachi's right eye. Terrace. New World, the former, underground kingdom, Rilkeland's temporary residence for trade on the city wall. The evil King Pizarro had controlled the laser electromagnetic cannon on the gate of the city wall 10 minutes ago. He immediately used this powerful weapon to destroy all the armored reinforcements advancing towards the city walls. The armored troops of Rilkeland never expected that the weapon they were so proud of would be fired at themselves for the first time. "The city gate is completely under control, ha ha ha." Pizarro took off his armor and shook off the animal hair. "Captain Teach, I have made great achievements this time. You have to let me be the captain of 3 more fleets." Pizarro could see that just behind Rilkeland, the huge battleship Jackal had also invaded Rilkeland's interior. But at this moment, a huge fiery red slash suddenly burst out from under the city wall occupied by Pizarro. Before Pizarro could figure out what was going on, he saw a large coated ship diving into the sea. "Is this an escaped trading pirate ship?" "Forget it, Lousy is too lazy to worry about it." Pizarro waved and smiled. He led the assembled troops down the city walls. Just now, he saw the shock waves of the shock fruit causing destruction again and again in the town. He estimated that Blackbeard had also killed the main figure of Ril Calland, the former era Marine General Ariel. I'm going to ask the captain for a reward. Pizarro laughed and ran towards the exchange house. However, what he didn't know was that at this time, Blackbeard had been pinched by Susano's hands until all his bones were broken, and was burned to death by Amaterasu. Blackbeard just watched Amaterasu burning on his body. He raised his hand with difficulty and summoned dark water to cover Amaterasu. At the bottom of Rilkeland, Freeze is using ultra-micro-sight to observe the detailed currents so that they can control the direction of the ship. On the deck, Itachi, Law and Sabo all took off their masks and black robes. Sabo jumped in anger after hearing Itachi tell the secret of Blackbeard's so-called ability to absorb physical attacks. It turns out that guy just used the fruit's ability to cover a layer of armed hockey to resist attacks, and then used the suction power of the dark fruit as a cover. Despicable and sinister Blackbeard, Luo said. I guess the reason why he did this was to establish an invincible image in front of the world that he could absorb any damage, so that more people who had not eaten devil fruit and were good at physical skills would be afraid of him. Itachi had put away the Mangekyo Sharingan. I think so too. That's right, friend. Sabo approached Itachi. What is your move? Is it the ability of the devil fruit? Did Blackbeard die in the end? Itachi didn't answer what Sabo asked earlier, he just said something. I don't know if his ability can absorb Amaterasu. Just as Amaterasu's black flames burned from Blackbeard's body, Itachi's Susano skeleton was shattered by the shock wave released from Blackbeard's body. Itachi is still not sure whether that ability can absorb Amaterasu, which is superior to all fire attacks. He raised his right hand, and the tendons in his hand were also injured. So you are not sure whether you are dead or not. What good would it do us if he died? If he hadn't left then, we would probably still be entangled with the Blackbeard pirates. At the last moment, Luo immediately moved with Itachi. His reason was as simple as what he told Sabo. Luo and Itachi's purpose of coming to Rilkeland this time has been achieved, and the chaos here has nothing to do with them. If they came with the purpose of seizing Blackbeard's territory, they could try to kill Blackbeard. Time was running out at that time, reinforcements from the Blackbeard pirates had arrived, and Luo's first consideration at that time was retreat. Plus they've now captured Caesar, Doflamingo and Kaidos have noticed them. This is already considered enmity with Blackbeard. We and Luffy have just entered the new world, so let's take it step by step. Itachi also remembered that before leaving Fishman Island, Luffy provoked another 4 emperors. Plus the battle with General Marine in Punk Hassad. New World has only been here for a few days, and it already has enemies on all sides. That's fine. Sabo nodded after hearing this, and looked towards the sea behind him. I hope that guy doesn't die so I can get to know him personally one day. At this time, Panshi shouted to the 3 of them, Brother Trafalgar, Brother Weasel, how should we deal with this person? Panshi was holding Lafitte who was still in a coma. Luo and Itachi discussed it and finally decided to tie Lafitte to a small raft and let him float on the sea by himself, leaving him to his fate. Originally, they wanted to tie up Lafitte so that they could blackmail Blackbeard into letting them evacuate safely. Luo didn't expect that Blackbeard would be killed by Itachi's tricks. This was already unexpected. Anyway, let's go to Dressrosa first and meet up with Luffy and the others. Speaking of which, Mr. Itachi, you got that fruit? Luo said. Sabo was suddenly startled. Dressrosa. Are you going to Dressrosa? Well, what's wrong? Luo looked at Sabo. My next destination is Dressrosa. Luo was surprised to see Sabo so excited. Luo asked, did the Revolutionary Army have any actions in Dressrosa? How do you know I'm a revolutionary soldier? Sabo pointed at himself in confusion. But before his doubts reached their peak, Panshi had already placed the reward order in Luo's hands. Law waved the reward in front of Sabo's eyes. What do you think? Ah, okay. Sabo smiled heartily. I feel like you don't want to say anything bad, so I'll just say it. Sabo thought it would be okay to speak out, because they really didn't do much in Dressrosa. I'm looking for a devil fruit. Listening to Sabo say this, Luo can understand why he appeared in Rilkeland. Now that it is confirmed that there is no Real Calland, we need to go to the next destination. It is said that Dressrosa is about to open a duel arena. The final championship prize in the duel arena is a Logia devil fruit. Is it the burning fruit of Fire Fist Ace, the former captain of the Whitebeard thieves who died in the war on top? Luo said immediately after hearing what Sabo said. As early as Punk Hassad, he heard that Doflamingo obtained the burning fruit by some unknown means, but he didn't know whether it was true or not. Yes, it's the burning fruit. Sabo's eyes were full of determination. Then why are you here? Luo asked. At this time Itachi took over the conversation. Are you worried that the fruit placed in Dressrosa is fake, so you went to the underground black market here to see if the fruit is here? That's right, Sabo nodded. Departing from the Revolutionary Army headquarters to Punk Hassad, he happened to pass by Relkaland, so he stopped by Relkaland to take a look. Just when Sabo, Luo and Itachi were making up how he got here to hide information about the Revolutionary Army, the strong communication microphone bug in Sabo's arm suddenly rang. Sabo took it out and took a look, and he recognized who it was through the phone bug's expression. After some thought, Sob walked aside and answered the phone. But not even a moment after he answered the phone, he ran back to Luo and Itachi. Two friends, do you have a spare boat on board? Itachi and Luo looked at each other, and he asked, what do you want a boat for? I received an order to return to Rilkeland to help. We want to stop the Blackbeard pirates, and if we have the chance, we want to destroy them. Just now, Long had explained to Sabo that Rilkerand had been secretly funding a large amount of weapons for the Revolutionary Army. After the meeting between Long and Ariel just now, although on the surface he was relieved to let Real Calendar handle it on his own, Long had already turned back to assemble the Revolutionary Army. Now Sabo needs to return and join in the rescue of Rilkeland. Is the Revolutionary Army going to Rilkeland? Luo said. I thought you were going to Dressrosa with us next. Itachi had asked Panshi to prepare a small boat for Sabo. Panshi was also very generous and directly handed over a steam speedboat captured on the ship to Sob. Freeze controlled the big ship to surface, and Sabo said goodbye to them and immediately rushed to Rilkeland. After Itachi and Luo waved to him, Luo turned around. Then we too will trouble you next. Send us to Dressrosa first. Go and meet up with the Straw Hat boss and the others. Yoshi, we are honored to be able to help these two eldest brothers. Blink. Freeze raised his hands and laughed. But at this moment, Sob, who was about to start the steam speedboat, suddenly turned around. Straw Hat, wait a minute, who is the Luffy you just mentioned? The pirate with a bounty of 400 million, Straw Hat, Monkey D. Luffy. Luo looked at Sabo doubtfully. Logically speaking, after they made a big fuss in Punk Hassad, their bounty and news have been spread. Arrived all over the world. Didn't Sob see this? You guys. Sabo glanced at Itachi and Law's faces in surprise, but Sabo did not recall that these two people were on the Hatter's reward order. Trafalgar Law, I know you are the 7 warlords of the sea, but who is this? Sabo pointed at Itachi. Is it headed by Itachi? He is now a crew member of the Straw Hats. You are actually Luffy's crew. Luffy actually went to Dressrosa. Seeing Sabo's expression of surprise and disbelief, Luo was confused. Do you know the Straw Hat boss? More than just acquaintance, I am his brother. Luo was confused. The Straw Hat leader only has one brother, Fire Fist Ace, right? Luffy still has a brother. Itachi was also puzzled. Well, Sabo scratched his head. I can't tell you for a while here. When I get to Dressrosa, let's have a good chat. With that said, Sabo was able to control the steamboat under Pengzai's guidance. After saying goodbye to Itachi and Luo, he rose to the sea and headed straight for Rilkeland. Blackbeard, I'm back. Sabo clenched his fists. Although I'm a little confused, as the leader Itachi, we. Before Luo could finish speaking, he saw Itachi already out of the boat. He swam to Lafitte, who was still unconscious and tied to the raft. Itachi stabbed Lafitte through the heart. When Itachi came back, Luo looked at Itachi with a cold sweat. Didn't we say that we should leave him to his fate? Luffy's brother wants to go back to help, so he should stop Blackbeard. Since there are already hostile factors in the curve, let their pirate group count as one less person. Itachi said, suddenly feeling regretful. If this was the case, Blackbeard should have been completely eliminated at that time. Well, what you said makes sense. Luo wiped his cold sweat. He didn't expect Itachi to be so straightforward. At the same time, outside Dressrosa Island, the Wanli Sunshine had docked. On the deck of the Sunshine, Luffy and Momonosuke were grabbing and beating Momonosuke, who had turned into a dragon. Aren't you a dragon? Dragons should be able to fly. I'm not a dragon. I can't even fly. I don't know how I became like this. If you can't fly, you're still a dragon. Then you're just a grilled eel, an eel. How can we fix it? Momonosuke turned back and bit Luffy's face. Luffy backhanded him with a backhand punch, which made Momonosuke burst into tears. You baga, eel, I'm not an eel, and I can't fly. The two of them fought directly. On the side, Sanji and Brook were looking at the two of them helplessly. It seems like Luffy has been beating him up every time he disagrees with him. This guy is quite pitiful. Luffy-san, this person is just a kid. You fool, what's so great about a samurai? I'm still the future One Piece. You idiot, I will still be the general of Wano country in the future. Keish, a smelly eel. You monkey. Huh, who are you calling a bully? That's too much. While the two were still struggling, Kinemon quickly ran out to stop them. Stop it, son. Sir Luffy and the others are our benefactors, we cannot attack them at will. Sir Luffy, although my son is still a child, he thinks very highly of himself as a samurai of Wano country, and I hope you will respect him. Let's talk about Luffy Dono. Kinemon looked helpless. It's not appropriate to beat up an 8-year-old child anyway. TCH, I just hate this eel, you fool. Luffy looked at Momonosuke with disdain. Momonosuke wanted to fight with Luffy, but Kinemon shouted. Stop, I told you not to do this to Luffy Dono and the others again. After being shouted at by Kinemon, Momonosuke was so frightened that he ran towards Nami, who was standing aside. Sister Nami. Although Nami hated this kid at first, she also felt a little pitiful about him. So Nami hugged Momonosuke and comforted her. Okay, it's okay. Children, be good. Just when Nami was holding Momonosuke, even though he turned into a dragon, Sanji and Brook saw him rubbing Nami's body with his obscene expression. You asshole. Hiccup. Kinemon couldn't help shouting when he saw this scene. Sanji couldn't hold back and kicked Momonosuke until his face was swollen and he fell to the ground in a pissed mess. Sanji, why are you so rude to the child? Nami exclaimed. Child. Sanji pointed angrily at Momonosuke, who was kicked until he was crying. If nothing happens, call yourself a warrior. If something happens, just pretend to be a child and act coquettishly. Kinemon, this is all your fault. It's all because of your disrespect as a father that the top is not straight and the bottom is crooked. Sanji can never forget the look on Nami's face when Kinemon only had one head. Are you warriors so shameless? Yes. Are they samurai or a bunch of perverts? Brook pointed at Kinemon angrily. This is human nature, this is not my initiative. Kinemon defended. While the two were shouting, Frankie, who got off the boat, reminded everyone that they were also tasked with going into the city to gather intelligence. On the ship, Zoro was still sleeping, and Robin was lying on the deck with his chin in his hands, looking at the sea in the distance. Don't you know if the two of them are following you? New World, on the sea 300 kilometers away from Rilkeland. Fleisch is using ultra-long-range sight in conjunction with the Dressrosa Eternal Pointer recorder Luo gave him to direct the ship forward. Luo looked at the Eternal Pointer of Dressrosa, and the memories that were heavy in his heart came to his mind intermittently. Mr. Corazon, I am proceeding step by step. On the deck, Weasel sat cross-legged, still thinking about what the rickety old man told him. The changes in the world, the country of Wano, and the spirit of the tree world that already exists in his chest. Itachi lowered his head and looked at his chest. He remembered that the rickety old man said that this spirit of the tree world not only has the ability of the root fruit mentioned by Luo. Itachi tried to start by growing roots from his body, but after some manipulation, his body did not change. Isn't it okay? He tried several more times, but there was still no change in his ability. At this moment, Itachi suddenly remembered the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama's cells and wood-style sealing method that he had seen in Anbu's laboratory. If simply summoning the ability doesn't work, Itachi stood up and began to form seals in conjunction with the flow of chakra. Wood style. After the wood style seal was formed, the wooden deck in front of Itachi suddenly began to curl and grow, turning into a big tree without green leaves. Why did the deck turn into a big tree? The pirates on the deck were suddenly shocked by this scene, and 2 pirates were inadvertently pinned on the treetops by a large tree that grew out of them. Luo also came closer and looked at Itachi in surprise. Have you been able to master the fruit's power so quickly? Not yet. Itachi shook his head. I currently know too little information, and I still don't know how to control this ability. I remember that Genjin fruit didn't seem to have such an ability. Luo said. By the way, Mr. Itachi, what kind of test did that rickety old man put you to? Also, is this root fruit? As Luo Fa asked, he suddenly realized something was wrong. Just now, Itachi entered the sea again. Wait, you just touched the sea water? Yes. Itachi nodded and stretched out his hand. It seems this is not a devil fruit. After swimming into the sea just now, he didn't feel any powerless. Itachi told Luo everything about how he obtained the spirit of the tree world. After hearing what Itachi said, Luo felt that this was simply unheard of. Is there such a thing that can only gain abilities without the side effects of devil fruit? Itachi said. From what the old gentleman said, this doesn't seem to be as simple as a devil fruit. Itachi has already decided that if wood style works, then for this tree world spirit, he will first develop it according to the ninjutsu of the wood style series. It seems that I need to study the changes this thing has had on your body structure. Luo said, looking at the sea in the distance. Let's put this matter aside until we destroy Doflamingo's Smile Fruit Factory. Also, about the Wano country and the Kazuki clan that you mentioned about Itachi. I don't know what the Kazuki clan means, but right now, Wano country already has a relationship with us. What do you mean? Itachi asked. Luo let out a long breath and said, the 4 emperors we will eventually overthrow in this plan, 100 Beasts, Kaido, is currently entrenched in Wano country. It is said that Wano country has become the territory he rules. When Luo mentioned domination, the last roar of the rickety old man appeared in Itachi's eyes. So stupid to the extreme, so stupid that countless people are enslaved and oppressed because of their sins. The person who is stupid enough to let Wano become what it is now. In that case, they have committed the crime of having the country occupied by others. Itachi thought. Outside Dressrosa, 2 days later. Sanji, Brook and the temporarily recruited Luffy have mysteriously reached an alliance. Brook, extremely quiet. Nami-san has now been deceived by the pitiful appearance of that little pervert. This is absolutely not okay. Sanji's eyes were on fire. We must never let that fool samurai brat take any advantage again. Not Namaswang's, not Robin-chan's. So the 3 of us have to form an alliance. As long as that brat has any intention of approaching Namaswang and Robin-chan, we will fight against Namaswang's violent storm and beat him away. Sauda, beat him. Luffy already had several big bumps on his face. That stinky eel, I have to beat him 100 times. He didn't feel anything about taking advantage, he was just unhappy with Momonosuke. If it weren't for the fact that Kinemon was pretty good, Luffy, as the captain, would have told this brat to get off the ship. In the end, the 3 of them reached an alliance to protect the beautiful navigator and the beautiful historian. As long as Momonosuke dared to approach the 2 of them with that intention, one of them would be responsible for stopping Nami, and the other would beat Momonosuke. Of course, the reason why Sanji and Brook pulled Luffy to join the alliance is because here Luffy is mainly responsible for beating Momonosuke, while Sanji and Brook are responsible for attracting Nami's firepower. After all, no one really cares about a fool hitting a child. In the end, the 2 normal people on the ship Nami, Usopp were trembling and afraid to land, and there was another normal person, Sanji, who had been plotting something with Brook and did not participate in the discussion. The last normal person, Robin, has been looking worriedly at the sea in the distance for 2 days. Frankie, who had been repairing the Wanli Sunshine for 2 days, could only pull Zoro and Chopper, who were still sleeping, together with Kinemon to discuss the plan. Kinemon has explained that one of his companions was lost in Dressrosa and he is going to find him. Frankie could still think about how Luo asked them to log into Dressrosa in advance to collect information before leaving. In the end, Frankie could only decide that he, Kinemon and Zoro would go to the island to collect information first, and the rest of the people would stay behind. Okay, although the final plan is not very super, it can only be like this. Oh, by the way, Kinemon, can't you change into a costume? Do you have any changes? Are there any costumes that can be well disguised for us to sneak in? Of course. Kinemon waved his hand and transformed Frankie and Zoro into black suits based on the men he had seen when he drifted to Dressrosa. The two put on their fake beards again and decided to enter Dressrosa first. Oh right, Luffy, Frankie turned around. But he suddenly found that everyone was on the deck. Even Zoro, who was still sleeping just now, and Luffy, who was staring at Momonosuke eagerly, jumped on the deck. Frankie quickly followed and saw everyone looking outside behind the boat. In the distance, a large ship was sailing towards them. Enemy. Zoro put his hand on the handle of the knife. Usopp had already put on his goggles. Let me see, it doesn't seem like there is any offensive intention. Hey wait, that seems to be it. Two familiar figures suddenly appeared in Usopp's field of vision. That is, Trafalgar Law, and Brother Weasel. Hey, Brother Itachi. Weasel, Itachi-san. After confirming that it was Itachi and Law, everyone in the Straw Hats waved excitedly. You are quite popular. Seeing how enthusiastic everyone was, Luo also smiled slightly. Are you finally back? Zoro put third-generation Kidetsu back into the scabbard. Sanji also lit up a cigarette. This way everyone will be here. At this time, Luffy, who was waving to Itachi, suddenly saw a freeze on the bow of the ship. His pea-sized eyes made Luffy laugh. Who is that? He looks so cheerful. The pirates on Frieza's ship were also waving to the Straw Hats, and they all shouted for their benefactors. After the two ships approached, Itachi and Luo jumped on the Wanli Sunshine. Thank you so much for coming all this way, Fleisch. Luo gave a thumbs up to Fleisch and the others. Don't say that, Brother Trafalgar. Panshi put on the gem necklace collected from other pirate groups. You and Brother Itachi are both our benefactors, the best of benefactors. If we can help you, our trip to New World will be worthwhile. Yes, Brother Trafalgar, if you need anything in the future, please feel free to call us. Wink. Fleisch took out the phone bug that had established long-term communication with Luo. Don't worry, you can also ask us for help if you are in trouble. Luo patted the phone bug in his arms. While talking, Luo noticed that Itachi didn't seem to speak yet. Master Itachi, why don't you say goodbye to Fleisch and the others? Fleisch blinked and looked at the Wanli Sunshine, which made his nose bleed. Brother Itachi seems. I can't say goodbye for the time being. As soon as Itachi got off the boat, he was already surrounded by Nami and Robin. Both of them were a bit taller than Itachi. As soon as the two of them hugged Itachi, Itachi was surrounded by 4 plump white rabbits. Coupled with the over-enthusiastic Nami hugging Itachi back and forth, Itachi was unable to speak. Nami. Forehead. He could only simply wave to Freeze and the others. After watching Fleisch leave, Usopp immediately came up to him. Brother Itachi, have you experienced anything along the way? Yes, Brother Itachi, will it be dangerous? Chopper's eyes sparkled, waiting for Itachi to tell them about the adventure. There were indeed a lot of twists and turns. Luo briefly explained what happened. After just a simple description, everyone in the Straw Hats was surprised. Underground Kingdom. Not a devil fruit. A strange old man. Blackbeard. Revolutionary Army. Luffy's brother. What? Wait. Luffy interrupted Law and Itachi's story. You mean, Sob. Luo nodded. Yes, I thought he was the captain of the Revolutionary Army at first, but later I found out about him. He is already the chief of general staff of the Revolutionary Army. Sabo is Luffy's brother. Robin was also surprised. During the 2 years after being beaten away by a bear, she spent most of her time with the Revolutionary Army. Aha, Sabo. Luffy couldn't hold it back and burst into tears. I didn't expect that Sabo is still alive. He is still alive. Itachi on the side was still confused. In the test given to him by the rickety old man, he had already seen Luffy's adventure experience. I didn't see such a person. Sanji said. Unexpectedly, Fire Fist Ace is your brother, and Sabo of the Revolutionary Army is also your brother. Fire Fist, Ace. Itachi suddenly remembered that when he watched Luffy participate in a huge war with Marine, their main rescue target was a young man who used fire abilities. In the end, the man covering Luffy was punched through the chest by the man holding the magma iron fist. Did you sacrifice yourself in the end to protect your brother? Itachi leaned on the armrest, with some thoughts in his eyes. They are both very good brothers, right? Yeah, Ace and Sabo are both my best brothers and my relatives. Luffy wiped his tears. In the end, in order to protect his younger brother, did he sacrifice his own life? Itachi smiled. Compared to himself who gave Sasuke the cruelest childhood, the man named Ace was much more dedicated to his duties. No one noticed the trace of sadness flowing through Itachi's eyes at this time. Only Robin put his hand on Itachi's shoulder. Itachi turned around and saw Robin, who smiled at him but said nothing. Let's end the story here. Compass sat down and took out two things. The phone bug, and the map of Dressrosa. This is the outline map that my companion collected when he sneaked in. Although there is no news about the Smile Factory yet, this map is enough for the time being. First, I will communicate with Doflamingo, and I will tell him that at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, Caesar will pass here. Luo pointed to a bridge. Give it back to him. What, you want to return Caesar to him? Luffy was shocked. Not really a return. Luo shook his head as he began to elaborate on his plan. First, Euro lured Doflamingo to the Greenbit Bridge north of Dressrosa under the guise of returning Caesar. Then, send a team to sneak into Dressrosa and use this opportunity to destroy the Smile Factory. Finally, the few people who stayed on the Wanli Sunshine were responsible for controlling the ship to pick up Luo and his team, and quickly evacuated after destroying it. Yes, it sounds like a very logical plan. Luffy confirmed, rubbing his chin. So, how much information on Dressrosa have you collected now? Luo looked around at the crowd. You must have gone to collect information, right? Everyone looked at each other awkwardly, and finally fell silent. Well done. Luo Chang showed a murderous smile. Itachi then shook his head at him. That expression seems to be saying, you have to learn to get used to it. Itachi had begun to get used to Luffy's and the others' behavior. Okay, let's take the first step of the plan first. Luo picked up the phone. Get in touch with Doflamingo. Get in touch with Doflamingo. Chopper heard this and hugged Usopp. That guy must be a very scary person. Just as Chopper was about to squeeze out tears, he was so frightened by Rona's murderous sullen face that he shrank back. Luo adjusted the phone bug and began to search for Doflamingo's communication signal. A few minutes later, the phone bug suddenly transformed into a face wearing sunglasses. Huh, who is it? As soon as this voice sounded, Luo frowned. Doflamingo, long time no see. When Usopp and the others heard this, they were so nervous that they didn't dare to move. Momonosuke and Kinemon also swallowed their saliva and stared at Luo. After a few seconds, the phone bug showed an evil smile. It turns out to be Luo, long time no see. I'm looking for you now. All over the New World, there are various connections for transactions through the underground black market of Rilkeland. Nani Relkarand was attacked by the Blackbeard pirates. Now, the Blackbeard pirates finally failed to attack. Instead, they were surrounded and repelled by the forces of the Revolutionary Army. Wait, why does this news also say that Trafalgar Law, the former 7 warlords of the sea, appeared in Rilkeland? Didn't he just cause a scene with the Straw Hats in Punk Hazard? Nowadays, the supernovas of the new extremely evil era already have 2 alliances. One is the Straw Hats and Trafalgar Law, and the other is Scarecrow Hawkins, Sea Sound DJ Apu, and Eustace Kid. If these supernovas unite, they must have some big plans. Inside Marine Headquarters, the combat staff has held a meeting of all generals in the headquarters, and the host of the meeting, Branu, is reading out the latest intelligence. After the Straw Hats made a big fuss in Punk Hazard, Trafalgar Law was kicked out of the Shichibukai ranks without question. And now, another one of the Shichibukai, now the king of Dressrosa, is actually the leader of the underground evil forces. Heavenly Yaksha, Doflamingo, suddenly announced his resignation from Shichibukai. These fools Shichibukai are just messing around. The lieutenant general below clenched his fists angrily. Yes, a force that can compete with Marine can cause such fluctuations so casually. This is simply. Before the concurring lieutenant general could finish speaking, everyone looked at Akainu who walked in. I already understand the situation. Akainu had a cigar in his mouth, and he slowly exhaled a puff of smoke. The most important thing now is that Trafalgar Law and the Straw Hats must not be allowed to mess around. There is news that Trafalgar Law has appeared in that underground kingdom, Relkland. And the Straw Hats are already approaching in the direction of Dressrosa. Akainu raised his head and scanned the portraits on the screen. At present, in addition to Luo and Doflamingo, who have been marked with crosses, the remaining ones include Hawkeye, Jorikal Mahawk, Tyrant, Bartholomew Bear, Empress, Boya Hancock, and Joker, Buggy. These fools. No matter what, let's pay attention to Dressrosa's movements first. I have sent Fujitora to go to Dressrosa first. On the Wanli Sunshine, Luo frowned and was listening to Brother Ming on the other end of the phone keep laughing. Speaking of which, in Punk Hassad, were Virgo and Monet killed by you? Yes, he was killed by me myself. What happened? Hey, I haven't seen you for so many years, you little brat, you've become more successful. I also want to have a drink with you, and we can talk about the past. You will have a chance soon. Luo looked at Caesar, who was tied up by sea tower stone chains. Caesar is in my hands now, what do you want? Caesar. Doflamingo threw in a dark smile. Law handed the phone bug to Caesar. Is it Dover? I'm so sorry, I caused you to lose Shichibukai. Before Caesar could continue, Luffy grabbed the phone. Moses, are you Doflamingo? Who is this? When Luffy grabbed the phone, Usopp and Chopper were trying to pull him away. Wow, Monkey D. Luffy, he is the man who wants to become One Piece. You fool, you are the one who supports the scientific research of idiot Caesar, right? You poisoned people to death and turned the children into that. Is that you? Before Punk Hassad left, Nami had no choice but to believe in Dasky, and a marine warship took the giant children to the G5 branch. Dasky promised that Marine would give the children the best possible treatment. Let them recover. In that case, Nami and the others were still clearing the way for Itachi and Law, and there was no other way. So it's you, Monkey D. Luffy, I've wanted to meet you for a long time. Ha. Come on, come to Dressrosa and find me. I have something you can covet here. You fool. Luffy was still yelling when he suddenly realized something. Mouth watering. After Luffy was stunned for a while, his saliva fell to the ground. Do you have any delicious meat? Luffy. Usopp and Chopper desperately pulled on Luffy's pants, trying to beg him not to talk to Doflamingo anymore. At this moment, Itachi suddenly pointed to the restaurant and said, Luffy, there is a barbecue that Luo and I brought specially for you. Barbecue. Luffy drooled and ran into the restaurant. Sanji suddenly realized something and ran after Luffy. Hey Luffy, that's the meat I just finished grilling with fruit wood, it's not cooked yet. Luo finally answered the phone. Stop talking nonsense, Joker. If you want to get Caesar back, you have to make a deal with me. Deal. Doflamingo laughed wildly after hearing this. You have really grown up and actually learned to make deals with me. Yes, my bargaining chip now is to deliver Caesar to you intact tomorrow. That's inevitable, otherwise you and your group wouldn't be able to get out of Dressrosa alive. So, what are your conditions? We'll discuss this when we meet tomorrow. Let me remind you that you know what I want most. The time is set at 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon on the Greenbit Bridge in the north of Dressrosa. After Luo finished speaking, Brother Ming still wanted to talk, but he had hung up the phone. After putting away the phone bug, Luo let out a long breath and said, I know that guy Doflamingo very well. He is an extremely dangerous person. So, when I hand Caesar over to him tomorrow, I can delay it as long as I can. You must destroy the Smile Factory. After destroying it, you must. As Luo said, Sanji was already greeting everyone for breakfast. Let's eat first. Breakfast is a sandwich. Wow, I want to eat a marshmallow sandwich. Chopper ran into the restaurant excitedly. Sanji, these aren't enough, I'm still so hungry. Luffy had finished chewing a piece of meat that was bigger than his belly and was making a fuss. Oh, then I want some Super Coke. Frankie followed closely. Sanji, do you have black tea for breakfast? Nami also walked into the restaurant. Robin smiled and pulled Itachi into the restaurant. You must be very tired from this journey, Itachi. After everyone entered the restaurant, Luo still sat there in a daze. Finally, Itachi came over silently. Itachi sighed and looked helplessly at Luo, who had froze. Don't be impatient, let's talk while eating. Anyway, that's the plan. Luo ate rice balls by himself, everyone ate sandwiches made by Sanji, and Luffy ate a special barbecue sandwich. Just now, Luo had a point-to-point fight with Sanji because he didn't like eating bread. After hearing Luo's plan, Luffy nodded with certainty. Yes, I just think this plan is very good and very logical. When he said this, his eyes were full of Dressrosa's barbecue. Usopp jumped up and slapped Luffy on the head. I knew you had this reaction because you wanted to eat Dressrosa's delicacies. Don't say that, Usopp. Luffy turned his eyes full of meat and drooled on the ground. I will carry out the plan, I will. Everyone in the Straw Hats looked at the gloomy-looking Luo and the greedy-looking Luffy, and they always felt that things would develop in a bad direction. Itachi, do you want another one? Sanji brought the sandwich to Itachi. As soon as Luffy stretched out his hand, Sanji moved neatly to avoid him. Thanks Sanji, I'm full. Itachi had already eaten a sandwich just now. I usually can't see you eating anything, but your body can burst out with that kind of power. It's amazing. Sanji recalled the banquet on Fishman Island. It seemed that Itachi didn't even eat as much as Chopper. Many. Hey, everyone, listen to me first. Luo clapped his hands. He pointed at Luffy. First of all, the infiltration team is composed of the Straw Hat Boss, Zoro Boss, Frankie, and Kinemon. You must find the location of the SMLIE factory and destroy it. The reason why there is Kinemon in this team is because he has always insisted on going to Dressrosa to find his separated partners. Well, I always feel like this team. Usopp looked worriedly at Luffy who was eating a lot. Zoro, who was holding a wine bottle, also raised his eyebrows at Usopp. Well, I hope you can succeed, Usopp said and Law pointed at him. Then, I, Usopp, and Mr. Itachi will form the Return to Caesar team. We're responsible for going to Greenbutt Bridge and holding Doflamingo down. When Usopp heard that he was about to face Doflamingo, he was so frightened that he cried, Nani? Why is it me? You are the sniper on this ship. It seems that your long-distance observation ability is the best so far. Luo said and looked at Itachi again. Coupled with Mr. Itachi's protection against danger, the three of us are the best team. At this time Itachi asked, what if we kill Doflamingo directly at the Green Butte Bridge? I also thought at the beginning that with the current combat power on this ship, it is completely possible to do this. Luo looked around and saw that there were originally 3 top combat powers on the ship, but now there are 4. But currently Doflamingo is still the king of Dressrosa. Oh no, he has resigned from the position of king now. If we directly push away Doflamingo's power in Dressrosa, we are afraid that our vitality will be greatly damaged. If we are attacked by the beast pirates on the other side of the assembly deal, it will be very dangerous. Quote. Anyway, let's follow this plan. First destroy the SMLIE factory, and then stir up disputes. Straw Hat Boss, you can definitely complete it, right? Luo looked at Luffy, whose eyes were filled with flesh. Usopp was still crying back and forth around them. Don't worry, Luffy said with saliva. The rest of the people stay to guard the ship. You are responsible for driving the ship to the designated port to ensure that we can evacuate as soon as possible. In this case, do you have any opinions? Luo looked around at the crowd. Everyone said that Luo's plan was completely acceptable. But then Itachi shook his head. He said, the personnel of the team still need to be changed. Itachi proposed that he and Luffy should be responsible for sneaking into Dressrosa and destroying the Smile Factory. There is no need to have so many ship guards, and another combat force will be mobilized to join Luo's Return to Caesar team. Oh, Itachi, don't you trust us? Frankie had already tied himself into 2 braids at some point. He made a star shape. You can absolutely rest assured that the factory will definitely be very big and very conspicuous. When we find the factory, watch me shoot super. The laser will destroy the factory, and we can evacuate. Luo also said. Although the team that infiltrated Dressrosa was embarrassing, but we are directly facing Doflamingo here, so I think it is better for the 3 of us to form a team. Taila man, what do you mean by this? Luffy stepped on the dining table with his slippers and patted the scar on his chest and vowed, destroying the factory will definitely be my responsibility. Usopp was also crying. Luo, I really don't want to go. What if Chopper is allowed to go? It was Nami who spoke. She had already hid outside the door, only revealing a pair of thief eyes looking inside. Hey, shall I go? Chopper pointed at himself. Soon, he and Usopp joined the cry. Doflamingo, so scary. Luo glanced at the two of them and shook his head. Then let me go. I'll team up with Usopp and Law. Robin volunteered to stand up. Sanji's eyes were full of love when he heard this, and he jumped up to Robin. How could Robin-chan be allowed to face such a dangerous thing? If Robin-chan is going, I'd better accompany Robin-chan. Hey, this can't work. If you all leave, who will protect us on the ship? Nami, who was hiding behind the door, waved desperately. Then you two go, I don't want to go. Usopp seemed to see a savior. Luffy became more and more confused as he listened, so he waved his hand. It's so troublesome. I'll go with Terra Man and shoot Doflamingo away right there. Everything will be solved. However, before that, we still have to sneak into Dressrosa, he. Luffy's cockroach appeared again. We must obtain information. When he said this, the barbecue was still coming out of his eyes. Absolutely not. Oh, that's totally fine. All in all, I can go to the factory alone, and then I'll just fire Super's laser. Seeing that everyone was getting more noisy and chaotic, Itachi, who had originally proposed an opinion, waved his hand helplessly. Otherwise, let's return to the original state. Just follow Luo's plan. After Itachi said this, everyone stopped and stared at him blankly. Seeing everyone's silence, Itachi suddenly realized something was wrong with the situation. As a result, after everyone discussed it for half an hour, they finally came up with a new plan. The cause of the matter is, Luo, sorry, Mr. Itachi, I forgot about the fruit you just got. I think you still need to be familiar with the ability of that fruit first. Luo said that for safety reasons, in case Itachi suffered a physical emergency during the transaction, it was best to let Itachi stay. Luffy, don't worry, even if I go alone, I will destroy the factory. Oh, no one needs to follow me, I will definitely complete the plan. Now his eyes are full of the barbecue in Dressrosa, and he just wants to act quickly. Nami, who had already wrapped his arms and legs around Itachi, entangled Itachi. There's no need to go, Itachi. It's been a tiring journey, so you should take a good rest. TCH, what are you talking about? I'm not scared. Luo has already said that Itachi is not familiar with the fruit yet. For safety reasons, I think Itachi has to stay. Well, I have to stay. Sauda, Chopper said and got down to business. He wanted to check Itachi's eyes as early as when he left Fishman Island. Chopper brought the testing equipment and he was communicating with Luo about Weasel's condition. Robin smiled and said, in that case, I will team up with Usopp and Law and let Itachi have a good rest. Itachi, actually, I'm not very tired, and... Before he could finish speaking, Nami had already covered Itachi's mouth. No, you are very tired, you need to rest. Usopp, are you mistaken? Didn't Law come here with brother Itachi all the way? Sanji, we must not let Robin-chan run into danger. I want to go with Robin-chan too. In the end, Itachi didn't have to go anywhere. With Nami's enthusiasm and Luo's advice, his mission became guarding the ship. Together with Momonosuke, Chopper, and Nami, form a ship-keeping recuperation team. Of course, Itachi didn't seem to need recuperation. Rose, Usopp and Robin went to return Caesar and transferred Sanji to the team that infiltrated Dressrosa. Although Sanji has always asked to protect Robin-chan, for the sake of the stability of the team that sneaked into Dressrosa, among the four people, one is an idiot, one is a fool, one is a pervert, and the other is just looking for teammates. Sanji eventually he was transferred to the infiltration team. Well, that's it, let's take action. After Luo finished speaking, he turned around and picked up Gui Cry, and everyone was also preparing. However, just after the infiltration team transformed into suits and fake beards through Kinemon's cross-dressing ability, Luffy disappeared. 10 minutes later, in the small town of Dressrosa near the coast. This is. Luffy was stunned. Hey Luffy, why are you running so fast? Don't get separated from us again. Sanji chased after him, but as soon as he reached Luffy's side, he was stunned. They saw that the Dressrosa in front of them was completely different from what they had imagined. Next to the streets of the town, there is an endless sea of sunflowers that can be seen at a glance. On the path that spreads forward from the streets, there are girls blooming with the sunflowers, dancing tirelessly. On the small commercial streets leading to the center of the town, it was busy and lively. Zoro, Frankie and Kinemon also followed. As soon as they arrived beside Luffy and Sanji, they were all shocked by the scene in front of them. Is this another heaven? Sanji instantly changed into a state with eyes full of love and hands waving. Luffy also jumped up happily. Yoshi, let's go. He could already smell the delicious aroma in front of him. Sanji is also a 720-degree Thomas pirouette coming to the dancing girl. Oh, hello, beautiful lady. Sanji moved forward with loving eyes. Unexpectedly, the dancing girl responded enthusiastically to him. Sanji spurted blood directly. Just when Sanji saw the next hot dancing girl and was about to use Thomas spin again, a toy suddenly blocked his way. Oh, konnichiwa. Ah, Kuyu. Sanji was just about to say hello, but he suddenly realized something was wrong. Talking toy. At the same time, Zoro, Frankie and Kinemon also discovered that there was more than just such a toy here. Looking from the edge of the town towards the center, there are almost as many toys as there are humans on the streets. They come in all kinds, but they are all movable and walking. Some are singing and dancing with hot dancing girls, some are toy dolls playing with children, and there are even toys holding men's hands and going shopping with men. This is a country where living toys and humans coexist. At first glance, you must be foreigners. The toy in front of Sanji is dressed as a soldier. When it talks, its body moves in circles as if it is uncoordinated. Dressrosa is a country of freedom and passion, but before the toy could finish speaking, everyone was already chasing Luffy as he ran to the town. I've long heard that Dressrosa's toys look like humans, but I didn't expect to see them today. What a weird look, Kinemon said as he ran. It doesn't look like a factory here. Frankie was looking around. Oh, beautiful ladies. Sanji was already spinning in circles. There were so many beautiful and enthusiastic girls, and he had no time to say hello. Where is that guy Luffy going? Is he going to get lost? Zoro ran in a straight line, but his legs seemed to be turning unconsciously. Luffy was jumping back and forth in the front, his whole body was light and airy, and his two nostrils were sniffing randomly. I can already smell it, it's the smell of a big meal, right there. Luffy turned and ran towards a small street, with Sanji and the others following closely behind. Sure enough, there was a space behind the small street. Luffy saw a large restaurant at a glance, and he ran towards it. Are there any beautiful ladies here too? Sanji floated all the way in. Luffy don't we still have a mission? Kinemon quickly chased after him. Really, I feel like I'm going to lead you this time. Frankie followed Luffy into the restaurant. Zoro was running at the back, but he suddenly stopped and put his hand on the knife handle. He looked back and saw an old man on crutches slowly walking down the stairs leading to the center of the town. The old man was tall, wearing a purple half-scarf and a cloak. Zoro had noticed that the old man was blind. There were 2 scars running through his eyes and reaching to the wrinkles on his forehead. Every time the old man took a step, he would hit the ground twice with the crutch in his hand. After confirming the road ahead, he continued to move forward. While Zoro was looking at the old man had already walked towards him. Hello, please ask, I heard that there is a casino nearby, do you know about it? Zoro stared at the old man for a moment, then he shook his head. Sorry uncle, I just got here. If you want to find a casino, there is a restaurant right in front. You can go there and ask. Oh, that's right, thank you so much. The old man's tone was very respectful. After bowing to Zoro, he continued to walk forward. Chapter 91. After the 2 teams of Luffy and Law set off, they were on the coast of Dressrosa. Wood-style wood world. Itachi activated the chakra seal, and the 3 small trees in front of him began to grow wildly following the flow of his chakra. In less than a moment, the 3 small trees had grown into waist-thick trees. Beside Itachi, Chopper was carrying a stethoscope and notes. He originally wanted to record Itachi's physical data, but when he saw this, he jumped up with joy. Brother Itachi, so awesome, so awesome. Chopper clapped his hands and suddenly realized something. By the way, Brother Weasel, you can now use the ability to control trees. Could it be that you have become a tree man? Should not, Itachi said, shaking his head. He stretched out his hand, and as the chakra flowed, rhizome-like spikes could now grow on his hand. Currently, we have only mastered the ability to control the growth of surrounding woody things, and allow body parts to grow such tree roots. Itachi said. He even transformed into a wooden sword, but this wooden sword could only be connected to his hand. Until now, he has not developed paramesha abilities like turning into trees. This is already amazing. Speaking of which, brother Itachi, I have already communicated with Luo about your eyes. Do you really have special pupil power? That's right. Itachi nodded. He and Chopper sat down cross-legged. Itachi told Chopper the origin of his Sharingan and Luo's research in detail. Chopper was holding his two little hooves and taking notes carefully. Under the orange tree on the sunshine, Brook was drinking tea leisurely. It's really great to have Itachi-san here. It makes me feel at ease. Yo ho ho ho. Yes, this is the first time I feel so at ease guarding a ship. Nami also got a rare free time, and she was taking care of the orange tree. Sitting on the seat next to the orange tree, Momonosuke, who had turned into a human form, looked at the sea with sad eyes. He murmured, "Kanjuro, can you find it?" Just as he was muttering, he suddenly caught a glimpse of Nami out of the corner of his eye. Nami's long wavy hair was bathed in the sun. As she moved her arms with the scissors for pruning branches and leaves, her plump figure and short corset also trembled. The sight of this 8-year-old child's blood spurted open. "Oh, Sister Nami. Well, what's the matter, Tauzi?" Nami turned around, full of the tenderness of a big sister. Although Momonosuke's behavior when he first came on board made Nami a little annoying, it still couldn't change her love for children. "I suddenly feel so sad. I want Sister Nami's comfort." Momonosuke jumped off the chair and wanted to hug him. This made Brook, who was drinking tea, flash a cold light in his eyes. Oops, Nami-san is in danger. Luffy-san and Sanji-san are both here now. Just when Momonosuke was about to hug Nami, Brook made a 360-degree spin and blocked Nami. "Hey, is it Tauzi? Do you feel sad? I love children the most. Let me comfort you." Brook hugged Momonosuke. Momonosuke's wretched face turned to panic in an instant. "Skeleton, stay away from me. I hate you. Hey ho ho ho, don't say that. I like children the most." Brook's tone was very warm, but the gloom and murderous look on his face scared Momonosuke into a frantic struggle. He whispered in Momonosuke's ear, "You little pervert, don't even think about doing anything outrageous." Momonosuke struggled even more after hearing this. Let me go, you rude skeleton. Brook, don't scare the child." Nami wanted to bring Momonosuke over, but Brook refused to let him go. While the two were tugging, Itachi's voice suddenly came. "Your name is Momonosuke, right?" Momonosuke stopped crying for a moment. He turned his head and saw Itachi with a calm face. Itachi was holding Chopper and letting him sit on his shoulders. Chopper was still smiling blankly, but this did not affect Momonosuke at all from feeling the coldness in Itachi's eyes. "Let's stop talking about my eyes, Chopper." Itachi put Chopper down. "Oh, okay, I will definitely record and research it carefully." According to Itachi's description, Chopper had already thought of researching some special medicines for Itachi. Even though Itachi said just now that law had modified his body, Chopper was still a little worried about whether Itachi would suffer that kind of injury again if all his strength was exhausted. Chopper had just thought about what would happen if a blue wave ball that activated pupil power was specially developed for Itachi. But this must be controlled within a safe and stable range. Itachi looked straight at Momonosuke. Although in the eyes of Nami and Brook, Itachi's eyes were as calm as ever, Momonosuke felt an inexplicable chill in his heart. "Here, I'm Momonosuke, what's wrong? Your father is not here. I have something to ask you about Wano country. Come with me." Itachi's sudden move surprised both Brook and Nami. "Itachi, do you want to ask Momonosuke about their country? He is just a child. I don't think he behaves like a simple child." Previously, Itachi had briefly asked Luo about the situation in Wano. First of all, Wano country is a bit special compared to other countries in the world. Many countries in the world are members of world government. If you join world government, you will be protected by the government and marine. On the contrary, Those countries that have not joined the world government will not be protected by the government and will be vulnerable to attacks by pirates and other forces, which is relatively very dangerous. This is not the case in Wano country. According to Luo, Wano is a completely closed country. This country does not need to join the world government. Until now, Wano has not been able to connect with the world and is open to landing like a country like Dressrosa. Because there is no openness, people from their country are also strictly prohibited from entering and leaving Wano. If this is the case, the question arises, how did Kinemon and Momonosuke, father and son, appear outside Wano country? Moreover, Itachi observed Kinemon and Momonosuke in the past few hours after returning to the Banri Sunshine. It seems like they have urgent goals and important matters that need to be accomplished. Furthermore, they have confirmed their identity as warriors. After hearing Itachi say that he was no ordinary child, Brook put Momonosuke down. Itachi knelt down and stared directly at Momonosuke with a pair of eyes as calm as ice, which made Momonosuke's body tremble uncontrollably. Momonosuke didn't know what was wrong with him. He had an inexplicable fear of the man in front of him. "You are trembling, aren't you a warrior?" "I'm not trembling." Momonosuke mustered up a breath and straightened his chest. It's just a little cold. If you want to ask anything, just ask it quickly." "Okay," Itachi nodded. "Let me ask you the first question first. Since you are from Wano country, do you know about the Kazuki clan?" The coastal town of Dressrosa, Acacia, inside the casino restaurant. "Hello guest, here's your Dressrosa lobster risotto. There are also rose cuttlefish soba noodles and fairy pumpkin soup." The monkey toy man in the restaurant did not forget to bang the gong in his hand after serving the food. "Hey, it looks delicious at first glance. I'm going to start dinner." Luffy picked up the lobster risotto and started eating. Sanji next to him looked thoughtful. "Leprechaun pumpkin soup. Isn't this just an ordinary pumpkin?" This guessed. The monkey toy man came to Sanji and struck the gong vigorously. In Dressrosa, people believe in the legend of fairies. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Maybe you will believe it, maybe you won't. Every time the monkey toy man said a word, he would hit the gong vigorously, and finally Sanji couldn't help shouting and ran away. "You're so annoying." Opposite Sanji was Kinemon, who was clenching his teeth and burying his head as if he was constipated. "The situation is extremely critical right now. I must not waste time here." Frankie patted Kinemon on the shoulder. "Calm down Kinemon, you have to calm down." While everyone was eating, Zoro kept looking at the roulette table in the direction of the bar. "I won again, uncle. You are so awesome. I'm so lucky to be betting with you." Before the turntable, the old man who had just passed by Zoro had won more than 10 times in a row. He, I'm just lucky." The old man raised his big hand from the purple upper body scarf and scratched his head in embarrassment. At this time, from behind the scenes of the restaurant, a group of people obviously dressed in gang-like characteristics came out. The leader was wearing a mask and had a sinister appearance. "It seems like a lucky person came here today." As soon as the sly-eyed leader waved his hand, the younger brothers had dispersed all the people who followed the old man's bets. "Uncle, are you interested in playing a game with me?" The leader lowered his head and looked at the old man maliciously. He has confirmed that this man is just a blind man who cannot see what is in front of him. "Of course you can, he. The old man smiled honestly. But not long after the two of them started, Zoro, who was looking at the old man, realized something was wrong. The carousel has 2 betting methods, black and white. The old man almost always chooses to bet on white, and the leader will bet the opposite way with the old man every time. The old man's bets were still the same as before. He was right every time, and everything turned out to be white after the market opened. However, if the leader of the bettor smiles sinisterly, the croupier will say it is black. "You lose. You lost again. You still lost." "I lost." After more than 10 rounds in a row, the leader always turned white into black. The other gamblers who were just watching could no longer stand it, but none of them dared to say anything. Simply because this gang is currently entrenched in Dressrosa and rules the entire underground trade, the Don Quixote family. "Uncle, if you keep losing like this, you will lose everything." The croupier once again said white was black, and the leader was laughing wildly. This makes the old man very troubled. He could only take out all the few chips in his hand. "I bet on it." "Okay, Then I'll continue to bet on black. After the opening, the turntable still slowly rotated to white. But the croupier and the leader looked at each other and smiled in an extremely vulgar manner. Uncle, you lost again. This time this is bye. At some point, Luffy was standing behind the old man. The dealer and the leader were stunned when they heard this. What did you say? Luffy still held the bowl of soba noodles in his hand, and he blinked in confusion. I said this is white, but this is clearly white. On the Wanli Sunshine, after Itachi asked those words, Momonosuke was frozen as if struck by lightning. Kazuki. How do you know Kazuki? Who are you? Momonosuke shouted in panic and subconsciously hid behind Nami. Nami was suddenly frightened by Momonosuke's panic. She touched Momonosuke's head to comfort her and said to Itachi, Itachi, do you know something? Don't scare the children. Itachi stood up and waved slightly to Nami. You all go down to the deck and leave me alone with him. When Momonosuke heard this, he was so frightened that he trembled all over again. I don't want to be alone with you, I don't want to be alone with you. Nami-san. Before Momonosuke could finish shouting, Brook picked up the teacup and took a sip and spoke. Itachi-san must have a reason for wanting to be alone with him. Maybe he wants to know something. We have to believe Itachi-san. Hearing this, Nami's panic when she looked at Itachi disappeared. Well, of course I believe Itachi. But Itachi, you better not scare the children. Will not. When Itachi spoke, he kept looking at Momonosuke. When Momonosuke saw Nami was leaving, he hurriedly tried to pull Nami's thigh, but when he looked at Itachi again, he was too scared to move. I don't have much to ask, so please cooperate. Itachi gave Momonosuke no room to refuse, and Momonosuke could feel it from his eyes. For some reason, Momonosuke felt that the eyes of the man in front of him were even more terrifying than the eyes of the most terrifying person in the world that he had previously thought. After Nami and Brook left, Itachi continued to ask questions. So, you know the Kazuki clan? This. Momonosuke was covered in cold sweat. He clenched his fists and shouted with all his strength, I don't know. I don't know. Wano is a closed country, right? How did you drift out to sea? I don't know. I don't know. Did the Kazuki clan ever have a dominant position in Wano country? I don't know. I don't know anything, don't ask any more. Momonosuke became more and more crazy, jumping and rolling, he didn't want to look at Itachi at all. Nami on the deck felt a little worried when she heard the cries above. She wanted to go up and have a look, but was held back by Brook. I guess after Itachi-san and Luo went to that place, he must have some history that he wants to know. Maybe Itachi-san will find his own memory or something. Let's not interfere. Anyway, Nami-san, we have seen this along the way. Although Itachi-san doesn't like to talk too much, he always has his own reasons for doing things. Nami looked at Brook, and after thinking for a while, she nodded. Under the orange tree, Itachi had asked more than 10 questions in a row, but Momonosuke had been in a state of arrogance, and he was unwilling to reveal any information at all. This made Itachi become a little anxious and patient, and finally calmed down. He originally wanted to get some of the most intuitive information from this child, and then exchange information about Wano with Kinemon through the information he had. Now it seems. Do you really want to do this? Itachi sighed, but Momonosuke continued to roll around, shouting for Sister Nami to come and save him. But suddenly he was grabbed by the throat by Itachi. Momonosuke never expected that Itachi would be like this. The sudden suffocation in his throat made him incontinent. Momonosuke was still struggling, and the yellow liquid covered his crotch. Just as he was struggling in fear, he accidentally caught a glimpse of blood-red patterns rising in Itachi's eyes. And the moment he and Itachi looked at each other, they entered a realm of gray and nothingness. Just when Nami entered the room and was about to close the door, she suddenly realized that she could no longer hear Momonosuke's crying. She hurried out and ran up the stairs. Brook and Chopper were already standing on the stairs. Brother Itachi, did you really bully him? Chopper looked left and right. Itachi was currently standing aside, and Momonosuke shivered under the orange tree, with yellow urine stains dragging all over the floor. What's going on? Did the child wet the bed? Chopper hurriedly went downstairs to find cotton cloth to use as diapers. Itachi-san, it seems like you didn't do anything excessive to him. Brook scratched his head with bony fingers. Only a few minutes had passed since he heard Itachi asking Momonosuke just now. But Brook felt very comfortable looking at this little pervert who was frightened. Nami had also crossed over to Brook. She asked Itachi in disbelief, "Did you do something to him?" "No harm was done to him." Itachi shook his head and was already walking down. "Hey ho ho ho, Itachi-san, would you like a cup of black tea?" Brook didn't bother to pay attention to what happened to this little pervert. Itachi said thank you to Brook and came to the chair next to the armrest. Nami also wanted to comfort Momonosuke, but unexpectedly, Momonosuke suddenly broke away from her. "You are all devils. Devil, I want to find my father." After being overly frightened, Momonosuke turned into a pink dragon and ran down the stairs. Nami followed closely to comfort Momonosuke, who was crying, but Momonosuke looked at Itachi again as soon as he got downstairs. This made him feel a looseness in his lower body, and he ran into the boys' dormitory and closed the door tightly. No matter how Nami knocked, Momonosuke, who was hiding under the quilt, didn't respond. This made Nami feel resentful towards Itachi. "Itachi, what on earth did you do to him? He's just a kid, he's not an ordinary kid." There was a complex emotion in Itachi's calm and indifferent eyes. Nami had never seen Itachi reveal such a look before. There was doubt in the complex emotions, and there was even a sense of uncertainty. Nami even felt that there was a hint of murderous intent under Itachi's eyes. "He is from the Kazuki clan." Itachi had already touched the token in his arms. Kazuki clan. Nami didn't understand. Kinemon is not his father either. But a servant of the Kazuki clan. Servant? Wait, what do you mean, Itachi? Nami's eyes were filled with shock. That's right, they are the royal family of Wano country. King Brook, who had brought the tea, heard the teacup fall to the ground. Then, Tauzi is the queen. Nami instinctively took a step back. She suddenly felt that there was an undercurrent vortex in this child. To be precise, he is the former king of Wano country. Itachi could already match the last words spoken by the rickety old man. Just now, he had used genjutsu in the Tsukuyomi to let Momonosuke himself in the Tsukuyomi tell his past. Judging from Momonosuke's fully described memory past, their entire clan has been wiped out except for him. In Momonosuke's memory, his father was a very powerful man, invincible in the world. He is the man who followed the Pirate King on this great route to the end of the Great Route. However, his father was eventually defeated by a horned devil. After reading the memory to this point, Itachi already had doubts. According to Momonosuke's memory, his father eventually experienced a deadly fight with the horned devil, and finally lost to the horned devil, causing Wano to fall into the hands of others. If this is the case, then his father can only be regarded as defeated. This is inconsistent with what the rickety old man said. The strongest emotion conveyed to him by the rickety old man at that time was resentment, humiliation, and unwillingness. That was not the emotion expressed towards someone who had fought an all-out battle to the death. Here, Itachi had a bigger doubt. That is the country of Wano. What kind of battle happened before? Inside the casino restaurant. As soon as Luffy finished saying this, the leader had already turned against him. But before the leader could call the younger brother below to take action, the old man had already pulled out the knife in his cane. He quickly passed by several younger brothers who were about to attack, and at the same time slashed the leader's body with a knife, but no wounds appeared. Uncle is blind, no wonder he can't see the plate. Hey, Uncle is so fast. Luffy was still putting wasabi noodles into his mouth, but the leader and his younger brother who had been beheaded were unable to move. Suddenly, they fell with all their strength, as if they were carrying huge rocks. So heavy. What is this? When the leader exclaimed, the entire casino restaurant suddenly collapsed deeply toward the ground with them as the center. There is so much evil in this world, it's better to keep it out of sight. The old man put away the knife. This scene immediately caused chaos among everyone in the restaurant. Anyone who dares to offend the Don Quixote family is doomed. Is he a foreigner? How scary. The guests ran outside one after another. Zoro, who was sitting in his seat, looked at this scene and smiled. Sure enough, this uncle is not an ordinary person. He smiled and held up the wine glass to take a sip, but when he raised his hand, he suddenly felt that something was missing on his right-hand side. Zoro looked down and saw that one of his 3 knives was missing. Nani, where's the knife? Zoro found that Chu Shui was missing. Seeing Chu Shui missing, Kinemon also exploded. The first time he saw Zoro using autumn water, he discovered that it was the national treasure of Wano. The sword used by Ryoma, the great swordsman of Wano, the Dragon Slayer. Later, Ryoma's tomb was robbed, and the sword was missing. I have long said that the autumn water was stolen. If you still haven't returned it to me, now it's gone, it's completely gone. Shut up, dead warrior. Zoro was also looking around hurriedly. He found that it was not just him, but many people in the restaurant had their things stolen in a panic. Seeing this scene, the monkey toy man banged his gong and shouted, "It must be a prank by the goblin." "Ah, is it a prank by the goblin? We'd better not take it seriously, just think it's a prank played by goblins. What kind of idiot toy is this?" Zoro was still looking around, when he suddenly discovered that Chu Shui jumped out of the window out of thin air. "Hey, you thief!" Zoro picked up the remaining 3rd-generation Kidetsu and Ichiman and chased him out of the window. Kinemon followed closely. "Akasui, give me the autumn water back." "Hey, green algae head idiot, stop running around." Sanji followed closely to chase Zoro. Frankie also stood up. He looked at Luffy, who was sizing up the old man, and then at the missing 3 people. In the end, Frankie didn't go anywhere. He stood there and crossed his arms. "Really, it seems that this operation must be completed by me. According to this, Momo is not the son of Kinemon, but the young master of Kinemon. Then Tauzi's father must be a king or something." Nami held up his hands, his eyes filled with gold coins. Chopper on the side had no intention of paying attention to this matter. His big eyes were already attracted by the branches that Itachi could grow at will. Itachi let the branch grow on his left arm for a while, and on his right knee for a while. Although his face was expressionless when communicating with Nami, it had already made Chopper move back and forth. Brook took a sip of black tea, and his mind was filled with questions. According to what the little pervert, "Ah no," Tauzi said, his father has already died in the war. He should continue to stay in the country of Wano, be a supported young master, and call for joining the army to restore the country. "Why did you go to sea?" Itachi said. According to his memory, the reason why he, Kinemon, and several of his companions went to sea in the end was because his mother used her ability to teleport them out to sea. "Mother? What about Momoko's mother? Did she stay in Wano country?" "Yeah," Itachi nodded. "It's probably gone." Nami's eyes dimmed when he heard this. In this way, Momonosuke had almost the same experience as she did when she was a child. Daozi, so pitiful. "Don't say that yet, Nami." Itachi stopped Nami's sadness and sympathy and asked Nami to look up. "Stay on the sidelines. Wait until everything comes to light." When Nami heard these 2 sentences Itachi said, she was a little confused. Itachi didn't say anything more. He picked up Chopper on his shoulder, and Chopper finally caught the small branch on his arm. Chopper pulled gently, and the branch fell off Itachi's arm. "Hey, I caught it." Chopper excitedly waved the twig. "Yeah, caught." Itachi smiled and raised his arms. After playing with Chopper just now, he could now separate the wood created by the catalytic chakra from his body. Itachi has even been able to turn wood into the shape of a shuriken in the palm of his hand. He did not let Nami and Brook see the token in his arms, nor did he explain the function of the token he held. Token, Wano Country, Kazuki Clan. At present, Itachi feels that he only knows a little bit about these. He planned to tell Nami and the others about the token until he could figure everything out. During this period, Itachi planned to keep Nami away from Momonosuke. Just because, if there really comes a day when he needs to kill Kazuki. Anyway, this time, Itachi planned to tell everyone on this boat the whole story. He no longer wants to bear the so-called fate alone. Itachi looked outside the port. "Should we go to Luo's designated place? They are still waiting for us in the distance. Oh, by the way. Forgot about that." Nami clapped her palms and called out to Chopper, who was playing with a twig and transformed into a human form. "Are you leaving, Nami?" "Yes, let's get down to business." Nami directed Chopper and Brook to pull down the main sail, and Itachi raised the auxiliary sail. Yoshi, we set sail. Under the command of Nami, the Wanling Sunshine, which weighed anchor, sailed towards the designated location on the map. After raising the auxiliary sail, Itachi jumped back to the deck and asked, "Speaking of Nami, is it really possible for Luffy and the others to sneak into Dressrosa and destroy the factory?" Along the way, Itachi had fully seen Luffy's mind. Well, it should be okay, after all, Sanji is there too. Should, maybe, probably. Yes. Nami's voice became quieter and quieter. This is because she recalled all the adventures she had taken. Her intuition was telling her that nothing seemed to go smoothly. It turns out that Nami's intuition was indeed correct. Currently, Zoro is lost. Sanji, who was chasing Zoro, suddenly saw an enthusiastic dancer when he passed by an intersection. While he was forgetfully watching the dancer's performance, the hydrangea in the dancer's hand suddenly threw it into his hand. Just after Sanji enjoyed a moment of happiness, Zoro disappeared. Sanji was about to look for it, but he suddenly remembered, this might also be a good opportunity. Just leave this green algae head on this island. Anyway, I've already chased him, so I've done my best to be benevolent. That is it. Sanji put his pockets in and strolled down the street. But at this moment, the dancer who just threw the hydrangea at him ran towards him and plunged into Sanji's arms. "Sir, we just met, can you do me a favor?" The dancer's face turned red and she begged Sanji in a pleading tone. She found that Sanji didn't respond. However, when she raised her head and looked again, Sanji had already had 2 nosebleeds. On the other side, in front of the casino restaurant, Frankie, who had just thought of a plan, had already pulled the casino gangster leader out of the pit created by the old man. After some exchanges, I learned from the news given by the leader that there was an unprecedented grand event today. The leader was originally going to be transferred to help, but he stayed here, but if he hadn't stayed here, he wouldn't have received such a beating. However, after another exchange, Luffy was stunned. There are 2 main messages given by the leader: bullfighting arena. And the prize of this arena, Xiao Xiao fruit. Wait a minute, you're talking about Ace's Xiao Xiao fruit. Yes, do you also know Fire Fist Ace? The leader suddenly became delusional. That's the burning fruit of Ace, the former captain of Whitebeard's 2nd Division who has become a legend. If I'm lucky enough to get that fruit, then I won't have to stay here, ha 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 ha. After hearing this, Luffy quickly turned back to look at Frankie. "Frankie, I want to join that arena. I want to get the Xiao fruit. Do you want to burn the fruit?" Frankie scratched his head. "Didn't you already eat the fruit? You can give this fruit to anyone, right? Give it to Itachi." Luffy clapped his hands together. "By the way, after you get it, give the Xiao Xiao fruit to Itachi." This sentence made the leader feel something was wrong. Weasel, wait, the one named Itachi. The leader suddenly remembered the reward notice he had seen a few days ago. Hellfire, Uchiha Itachi. The monster man who commands the fiery red giant is said to be a crew member of the Straw Hats in the evil era. If the Xiao Xiao fruit were not in Dressrosa, the leader would even think that he was the new generation of people who had eaten the Xiao Xiao fruit. Then you shouldn't be. Just as the leader was about to say something, Frankie punched him and knocked him out. Didn't Itachi just eat the fruit? Besides, Frankie thought of Itachi's ability to set fire. He felt that it was almost the same as burning a fruit. Ah, it doesn't matter. If you want to get the Xiao Xiao fruit, I have a way. On the Green Butte Bridge, Caesar Trading Squad. Wow, here we go again. As Usopp screamed in horror, that brutal monster fish with horns and shark fins appeared again in the sea. Robin immediately used colorful colors and giant tree to resist, and Usopp also shot a series of explosive stars, knocking over the strange fish on the other side. I have long said that Greenbit is a gathering place for fighting fish. Luo said, and everyone could see that the bridge was full of shipwrecks. Then why choose a place like this for the transaction? Usopp's nose touched Law's hat. Also, why didn't you use your abilities along the way? You are clearly the strongest here. I can't expend too much energy right now. Luo raised his hand and palmed it. He had already set up a huge room force field. My ability can only be used when we return. Luo said. They had reached the center of the bridge. Luo pointed to Caesar. You can open his handcuffs and let him help fight. Caesar was furious when he heard this. Nani, I am a precious hostage, why do you want me to fight? I hate you but. Before Caesar could finish speaking, Luo had already taken out his heart. Luo, you, when, sure enough, after threatening Caesar with his heart, Caesar worked very hard to use his gas power to resist the fighting fish. But at this moment, when Usopp was about to attack a fighting fish rushing onto the bridge in front, he discovered that there was a big net on the opposite side of the bridge that blocked the fighting fish. Then there were some rustling sounds. Caught another betta. You can make nourishing betta soup when you get back. When Usopp heard this, he thought there was someone there. Luo Mingming said that there was an uninhabited island on the other side. He immediately shouted happily towards the opposite side, "Hey! Are they aborigines? We are going to land." Unexpectedly, when the person on the opposite side heard Usopp's voice, he hurriedly shouted, "Oops, there are humans." Then the huge betta fish was dragged away by the big net. At the same time, the Wanli Sunshine was about to turn around and set sail. Nami suddenly discovered that there was heavy fog ahead of the route. What's going on? It's not morning yet. Although the climate on the Great Sea route is changeable, there is a reason for fogging. The water vapor that forms fog cannot remain in the air when the sun is shining brightly. Did something happen, Nami? Itachi came to Nami's side. He looked around and then at the pointer recorder on Nami's arm. I can't quite figure it out, I just feel. While Nami was talking, a scream suddenly came from Momonosuke in the boys' bedroom. Help! Momonosuke pushed open the door of the boys' dormitory, and Brook was also startled. What is this? I saw that Momonosuke's appearance had changed drastically, and his whole person became distorted and abstract, like a person running out of an abstract painting. At the same time, the door of the boys' dormitory suddenly turned into a crooked abstract painting. Itachi and Brook immediately opened the door, and they were both surprised by the scene in front of them. I saw that the entire boys' dormitory had turned into a twisted abstract painting. At the same time, behind the thick fog, Itachi also noticed something abnormal. He jumped towards the bow of the ship, and Hedo found that the bow of the ship had turned into an extremely ugly blue-purple color like an abstract painting. At this time, Itachi also discovered that the mist was approaching them on the boat. As soon as Brook's crutch came into contact with the mist, it turned into an abstract, curved cane. When Brook was panicking, Weasel had already arrived among the three of them. Fire-style immortals fall. Itachi spit out several Phoenix Sage fire bombs, extending from the heads of the three people at an extremely precise angle. Without causing any damage to the ship's hull, the exploded risk bombs turned into several Phoenix Sage fire balls, blowing away the mist. Forced to disperse. Will you turn into an ugly monster if you come into contact with the mist? Nami screamed while looking at Momonosuke. It looks like it. As Itachi spoke, his Sharingan had appeared, and his eyeballs were moving along with the abnormally rough sea surface. Suddenly, a submarine with the logo of the Don Quixote family surfaced. It's underwater, no wonder I didn't see the enemy. Itachi stared at the submarine and saw several people jumping out of the submarine. The leader was an ant wearing triangular glasses. She rolled back and jumped to the Wanli Sunshine. It's really annoying. I didn't expect it to be discovered. After the fat ant landed, everyone saw this person clearly. I saw that she had a permed and fluffy hairstyle, an extremely bloated figure, and extremely short legs. Especially her pair of triangular glasses, which made her even more ugly. Who are you? Why did you turn our ship into this? Nami couldn't help but yell. Brook also covered his cheek. If Frankasan sees the sunshine in this state, he will kill someone. Oh ho ho ho. Are you saying I am a mermaid princess? The ant actually started to twist her body. No one said yes. Nami, Brook, and Chopper all roared. Auntie didn't care about their yelling and just picked up another colorful mist. So I said, I hate people without artistic talent the most. Saying that, the ant suddenly threw the fog ball over. But just as the fog was about to explode, Itachi wrapped his haki around and knocked the fog away with a single blow. The dance troupe landed on the deck, directly turning the deck into an abstract painting. Sure enough, it will become like this when exposed to the mist. Itachi had already stared at the bloated ant. Who are you? Why are you attacking us? Oh ho ho ho, how dare you ask me who I am? The ant pinched her waist, with an extremely arrogant face under her triangular glasses. The younger brother behind him immediately stepped forward and introduced, "Don't you know? This is a member of the Don Quixote family, Joe." Before the younger brother could finish speaking, he suddenly saw a crossbar coming towards them. The younger brother had no time to react. Jorah, who was wearing triangular glasses and extremely arrogant, was already impaled by the crossbar. Wood-style wood blade. "Ah, what are you doing? You are so unartistic, As Jorah screamed, Weasel drove the crossbar growing from the palm of his hand and directly locked Jorah tightly. "Help me quickly," Jorah yelled, and several of his younger brothers hurriedly went to chop down the crossbar that was binding Jorah, but at this moment, several wooden shurikens accurately passed through their throats. The two younger brothers fell to the ground before they could figure out why they were penetrated by shurikens at the same time. The young man behind them, who was already bleeding, couldn't understand even more. The shuriken was thrown from the hand of the person opposite them. How could the shuriken thrown at the young man below fly upward in an arc trajectory and then fall down on their throats? On board the Wanli Sunshine that has been restored to its original state. Hey, please make it clear to me, I am a member of the Don Quixote family. If you offend us, you will have to grunt. Gah. You are really annoying. If the young master sees me being treated like this by you. Gulu gulu. I hate it, it's so annoying. You are all a bunch of people without art. Gulu, gulu, gulu. Brother Itachi, she still doesn't say anything, should I continue? Let's continue. Oh, Chopper in human form was holding one end of the crossbar given by Itachi, and the other end had already tightly wrapped around Chopper, unable to move. Itachi ordered that as long as the ant didn't reveal their plan, Chopper would keep her soaked in the sea. But as the ant was soaking, Chopper could see her mouth moving. Every time he brought it up, the ant was talking nonsense. As a result, Chopper is now lifting and releasing, lifting and releasing. Nami has asked Brook to confirm that the Wanli Sunshine was just abstracted just now, and it will be fine once it recovers, without suffering any damage. It's so dangerous. Fortunately Itachi is here. Nami patted her chest repeatedly. Brook also said, it's so insidious that he would attack underwater. Itachi said, now that the enemy has been dealt with, this is not an urgent matter at the moment. What we need to find out now is that he just claimed to be a Don Quixote family. Don Quixote family. Nami thought for a moment, she had never heard of this name. Is this Dressrosa's family? Yes, they are Doflamingo's family. On the way here, Luo had already told Itachi some information about Doflamingo. Doflamingo. Nami and the other three trembled when they heard this name, and Momonosuke beside them was also frightened. Yes, our young master has. Gulu gulu. Stop talking nonsense. Chopper sank Jorah into the water again. So that means we've been targeted by Doflamingo. Nami covered her mouth in surprise. That seems to be the case. We must get in touch with Luo. Itachi said and asked Nami to take out the last phone bug Luo left behind. Before leaving, Luo had already told him that if there was a problem, he would be contacted quickly. Nami quickly took out the phone, and just when she was about to make a call, Sanji, who had already left for the town, suddenly ran back. Namaswang, Itachi, Brook, wait a minute, I didn't expect you were still here. Sanji jumped deep into the ocean and boarded the Wanli Sunshine. Sanji. Itachi looked at it first, it was indeed true. Sanji was right. Why are you back? Sanji's face was covered with blood and his body was covered with footprints. Sanji immediately conveyed what he encountered to several people. Just now, Sanji met the dancer, Violet. Sanji doesn't know that she is from the Don Quixote family. It turned out that he had fallen into Violet's trap. Just when they were about to execute Sanji, Sanji impressed Violet with a man's firm belief. A man's unwavering faith. Brook tilted her head. Hey ho ho ho, will I also have the firm belief of a man? Oh, by the way, I'm a skeleton, so I won't. Sanji kicked Brook away. It's this time, don't cause trouble. Sanji continued. Violet was moved by his belief and told Sanji the plot of the Don Quixote family. It turns out that Doflamingo already knew what they wanted to do before they even landed in Dressrosa. Doflamingo had already laid out a trap and was waiting for them to get inside. Understood. After hearing Sanji's information, Itachi nodded. In this way, Luo needs more support. He is the person who deals directly with Doflamingo. Bridge Bean Sack. Nami made a pause gesture. Sanji, where are Luffy and the others now? Are they, Sanji looked left and right, and suddenly he looked at Nami. As long as Namaswang is safe, they don't need to worry about it for now. Sure enough, Nami smiled slightly. They are indeed missing. Itachi simply gasped at this scene. It was expected that he would lose it, but would he lose it all? How long has it been? It seems a bit too fast. Brook quickly patted Weasel. Don't worry, Itachi-san, this is normal on this ship. After the three finally made a decision, Nami first dialed Luo's phone number. Hey, is it Luo? Yeah, that's right, it's me. The situation is urgent now. This is all Doflamingo's conspiracy. Are you in Greenbit? We will go find you right away. Ah, I already understand. What, you know? Yes. Now, Doflamingo, on my side. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. At the same time, on the shore of East South Blue, an uninhabited island under the Green Butte Bridge. Law had previously asked Robin and Usopp to investigate the situation on this uninhabited island. This was because they had discovered Marine's warship when they landed. Law told Usopp and Robin that if anything happened, they would immediately use the phone bug to notify him. However, just when he finished saying this, the figure he was once so familiar with appeared in the sky. The man wearing a flamingo-like robe, slanted sunglasses, and a devilish smile always appeared on the shore of East South Blue. Foo, it's been such a long time, Luo. Are you coming? Luo looked at this man with great vigilance. Caesar also cried when he saw him. Joker, you are finally here. I'm really sorry, I dragged you down and made you lose your position as Shichibukai. While they were talking, a figure suddenly appeared in the jungle, making Luo even more desperate. I really didn't expect that Marine would be fooled by such a false alarm. After hearing this voice, Luo turned around and was immediately frozen. I saw an old man walking out of the jungle. He was holding a cane knife, wearing a purple half-length scarf on his upper body, and there was an obvious cross scar on his eyes. This is Marine's latest general to be appointed through the world recruitment. Fujitora smiles. Why is General Marine here? When Luo was shocked, Caesar had already pissed himself. It's over. There is a general here. The Joker is not a Shichibukai now, aren't we all going to die here? Don't worry, Caesar. Furfurfurl. Doflamingo smiled lowly. Nothing has changed, nothing has changed. Now the common enemy between us and Marine is the Straw Hats and Luo Yo, who is in alliance with them. Am I right, General of Marine Headquarters? The corners of Doflamingo's mouth were raised extremely, and he looked at Fujitora arrogantly. New world all over. What? Why is this newspaper like this? Are you playing tricks on people? Why is he Doflamingo? How can he act like this? What does the government do? It eats shit. At the same time, in the town of Acacia in Dressrosa, Frankie, who has already given Luffy his place in the fighting arena, is looking around for the whereabouts of the SM Lyle factory. That's ridiculous. Doflamingo. He also saw the so-called false report in the newspaper just now. We have completely fallen into his trap, so we must speed up. In the small town, Kinemon, who had just met Sanji, after a brief exchange with Sanji, continued to the abandoned factory that he learned about through the mouth of the trash fish he collected, to find the whereabouts of his partner Kanjuro. Lost Zoro's side. Finally caught you. Zoro held down a minifigure that looked like an elf. So you are a goblin. A little thief who steals things. Ah, I'm not a thief. Help, help. The little person in blue clothes was shouting for help. While running away just now, she sprained her foot. Please, let me go, let me go. I don't have time. I have to find the captain. We have to go to the flower field. This is all a conspiracy of the Don Quixote family. Conspiracy. Zoro didn't understand what this villain was talking about. Then the villain immediately told Zoro about its mini-humans, their plan to come to rescue the mini-human princess, and the Don Quixote family's plot to let the Straw Hats enter Dressrosa. Zoro was surprised after hearing this, and he ran directly towards the coast. Where are you going? Please, my feet are so sprained that I can't move. You must take me to the flower field. I don't have time to take you to some flower fields, I have more important things. Zoro ran towards the shore in his memory. However, he ran for several hundred meters in a row. After running out of breath, he returned to the place where he had just caught the villain. Are they two alleys that look alike? Interesting. Zoro took a breath and continued running towards the front. Inside the bullfighting arena, just now, Luffy, who went by the pseudonym Lucy, was considered a monkey-like fool who could be killed with just one punch. After all, this place is full of stars. Neighboring killers, Vank Brothers, King of Prudence, Battle King, Bello II, Dominator, Uranbus, Don Quixote family recommended member, Hyena, Bellamy, Pirate Lord, Cavendish, Murderer, Bartolomeo, the criminal clan of the Flower Country, the 8 Treasure Navy. The bullfighting arena is divided into 4 areas, each of which will be filled with competitive masters from all over the world, and finally one person from these areas will be chosen for the next round of battle. Luffy is currently in Area C, but now, the audience's impression of him as a monkey has changed. Luffy has successively killed countless big men who are several times stronger than him, and each one of them is an easy punch. On the Wanli Sunshine side, after a brief communication with Uro, the Wanli Sunshine was heading straight towards Greenbit. Not only Doflamingo, but also Marine General Fujitora Itachi looked towards the sea in the distance. On the southeastern coast of the uninhabited island. Doflamingo, how on earth did you accomplish this? Luo was shocked beyond measure when he learned the truth. It turns out that the news that Doflamingo resigned from Shichibukai and King of Dressrosa that they saw just before was just a false alarm. Now, world government has issued a new piece of news. Doflamingo is still Shichibukai, and is still the king of Dressrosa. In order to deceive us and complete your conspiracy, can you use this method to deceive the whole world? What ability do you have to control the world government like this? Answer me quickly, Doflamingo. Seeing Luo so angry, Doflamingo laughed even more. Furfurfurl, people generally think this kind of thing is impossible. However, the more fixed the concept, the more it affects human observation. Don't say such things to me. Luo waved his hand violently. You are just a pirate. Even if you are 7 warlords of the sea, you will never have such authority. Furfurfurl, don't be angry, Luo. Doflamingo arched his body and fiddled with his fingers habitually. The larger the magic, the simpler the methods inside it. Stop talking nonsense here, Laura picked up Caesar, who was still yelling randomly. Now this deal is completely void. Voided, yes. Veins appeared on Brother Ming's face, and the smile at the corner of his mouth became more and more menacing. I will kill you anyway, the outcome will be the same. At this time, Fujitora on the side spoke. Doflamingo, the scientist who brewed the poisonous gas accident and released the so-called broadcast that shocked the world, is he your subordinate? In this case, according to Shichibukai's regulations, even he has no choice but to give up the pursuit. Fujitora, I have admired your name for a long time. Brother Ming looked at Fujitora. It is said that you and Green Bull are both monsters with extraordinary strength. Thank you for your compliment, I don't dare to take it seriously. Fujitora raised the cane knife in his hand. As a recruit who has just passed the world recruitment, it may not be appropriate to say these words. But your previous behavior is indeed difficult to understand. Before joining Marine, Fujitora had heard countless rumors about Doflamingo. Furthermore, the name the poisonous gas scientist just called you, Joker, seems to be a well-known underground title. After listening to Fujitora's words, he smiled leisurely. If you want to investigate me, that's entirely up to you. It's just that you need to have good evidence and be aware enough to talk to me about this. Now, it seems that we Shichibukai and Marine are still allies, right? Rather than this, I am more concerned about how you, Marine, are going to deal with Trafalgar Law this time. Hearing this, Luo subconsciously put his raised hand behind his back. You fool, Fujitora looked at Law, Trafalgar Law. Based on your previous commotion on Punk Hassad Island, and the need to confirm whether you and the Straw Hats are in alliance, and currently you have been revoked as Shichibukai. The main purpose of our trip is probably to arrest you, Your Excellency, and the Straw Hats. Then next, I would like to ask you, have you already formed an alliance with the Straw Hats? Luo looked at the current situation and realized that it was impossible to capture him without mercy. He could only wait for rescue to arrive. That's right, I'm in alliance with the Straw Hats, Luo shouted. Okay, then there is no need to confirm other news. Fujitora pulled out the sword, bent down deeply, and slashed into the sky. As a purple vapor wave rose into the sky, even Doflamingo couldn't believe this scene. Are you kidding? What is going on? I saw a meteorite falling towards Greenbit. Is this the true strength of Mr. Yishao? Meteorite. Hey, look, look. While the Marines were shouting, they saw that in the deep crater where Fujitora fell the meteorite, only the ground under Luo, Doflamingo, and Fujitora himself was still intact, and the rest was gone. Just now, Luo used force field cutting, and Ming Jie used 5-color thread to block the meteorite. You fool. Brother Ming looked at Fujitora dissatisfied. How did your fleet admiral teach you to be so indiscriminate about friend and foe? Sorry, I just moved my body a little bit. Fujitora turned to Luo. Next, you will be arrested, Mr. Luo. Is it just a small test of his skills? Luo instantly recalled the scene when he met Kizaru in Punk Hasad. Even Itachi can only end up losing both sides with Kizaru. The Fujitora in front of him now, no matter whether his strength is superior or inferior compared to Kizaru, this is no longer something he can touch at the moment. Luo turned around and fled to the woods nearby. Hey, are you going to run away now? Or are you trying to delay time? Brother Ming smiled sinisterly and flew towards Luo. You are my prey. I will definitely kill you. Seeing Luo and Ming Jie rushing into the woods, Fujitora said to Marine in a hurry, let's chase them too. Luo ran and said silently in his heart, now we can only delay until Mr. Itachi and Mr. Sanji come. Plans have to change. The current pursuers are people of this level. I hope Longnose and Robin can assess the situation and don't cover me at this time. Luo can rest assured about this matter, because Usopp and Robin have forgotten their mission to protect Luo. At this moment, Usopp and Robin were having a good time in Lilliput on the island. Robin was recording traces of history everywhere in the Lilliput kingdom, and Usopp saw the adventurer Rolando, whom he had heard of before landing on the Sky Island, and who was wrongly accused of being the king of liars, statue. After seeing this statue, Usopp became the Liar King. He told the little people that he was a descendant of Rolando, Usolando. That's why he and Robin were warmly entertained by the little people. Later, the little people asked the two of them for help to rescue the 500 similar people captured by the Don Quixote family and the Lilliput princess who was imprisoned in the toy factory. When Usopp heard this, he immediately became energetic. A toy, a villain, a small thing like this. Isn't this all within reach? He readily agreed to the little people's request and got on the assault flying team specially built by the little people. He and Robin rushed to the toy factory with the little people. Aboard the Wanli Sunshine, fire-style fire chain. Call. Itachi fired out great fireballs one after another, burning the betta fins rising from the sea one by one. Barbecue lamb shoot. Sanji kicked away a fighting fish that wanted to attack the Wanli Sunshine, and then used moonwalk to reach the sea surface, kicking over several fighting fish that wanted to attack the stern of the ship. It's really troublesome. Why are there so many fish like this here? Itachi also said. The number has exceeded imagination. He looked far to the southeast. Just now, everyone on the Sunshine had seen the meteorite falling from the sky. It has to be as soon as possible. Itachi immediately used wood style to create a black crow. He estimated that Law could resist for a while, and as for Usopp and Robin, he hoped that they would be safe before he arrived. Fire style black fire crow. Itachi got on the black fire crow, turned to Sanji and said, Sanji, I'll leave this to you first, I'll help you. Wrap it on me. Sanji flew up again and kicked over a fighting fish. Don't worry Itachi-san, we will arrive shortly. Brook also used Wonkwan to kill 2 fighting fish that wanted to get close. At the same time, in the small town of Acacia, Frankie, who transformed into Frankie's humanoid tank, had a brief encounter with the toy soldiers guarding the bullfighting arena, and he had already learned the truth about Dressrosa. Just now, he witnessed a humanoid toy yelling at a woman in a relationship, "Don't get close to that man. Don't have love with him." Later, the toy was taken away. Just when Frankie was confused, the toy soldier told him a shocking news. All toys were once people. They were all turned into toys by an Esper in the Don Quixote family who used his abilities. and those who are turned into toys will have their memories forgotten by everyone. At the same time, in the small town, Zoro thought he was moving forward in a hurry, but he was still spinning in circles. The little blue man couldn't help but grabbed Zoro's collar and cried, "I really can't help it, you are a super road idiot. You're so verbose. I just took a slightly wrong turn." Zoro was also very impatient. "A little. In total, I made a mistake in the direction I told you to go in 27 times. I somehow got down the steps 31 times and turned back and forth 18 times. You call it a little? Stop being so nagging, it's all your fault for not being able to give directions, okay?" Zoro continued to run forward. "You went in the wrong direction again." In the bullfighting arena, Luffy passed through all the obstacles and came to a tall old man. The old man had already recognized Luffy and couldn't help crying, "Straw Hat Boy. Are you Garp's grandson? I want you to pay with blood." Currently, only Luo is left fighting hard on the south blue shore of Greenbit East. Bounce the thread. Brother Ming fired bullet-like threads one after another, and Luo was constantly dodging Brother Ming's attacks. Currently, he had no intention of fighting at all. "Hey, Joker, Joker, Caesar is also chasing Doflamingo. Before we kill him, there is one more thing we must get back. That's the heart, my heart." However, just when Brother Ming looked back at Caesar, Luo had already used his room ability to escape. Brother Ming jumped up and was about to continue the pursuit. But at this moment, he suddenly stopped. Brother Ming thought something was wrong for a while. Just yesterday, he had heard news from the underground trading kingdom, Real Calendar. Luo appeared in Real Calend. When Relkaland appeared, he was with a person with abilities who could use flame bones. As for Flame Skeleton, there is no doubt that he is the latest member of the Straw Hats to issue a bounty order. Uchiha Itachi. At present, Straw Hat Luffy's brother Ming has confirmed that he is involved in a fatal fight in the bullfighting arena. Other crew members on their ship had sighting reports in Acacia, and he had sent Jorah to subdue the remaining 3 people on the ship as previously expected. But now, where exactly that Uchiha Itachi is still uncertain. "Are you delaying, waiting for that person to come?" A trace of doubt flashed in Brother Ming's eyes. Fuahehehe, how about it, run away, then run away from me." Now, the entire southeastern coast of Greenbit has been assimilated by the Shenxian fruit. Doflamingo held down the seriously injured Luo with one hand, while the other hand showed the 5-color line. Is this the awakening of fruit power? If not, do you want to wait for that person? I can tell you clearly that there is no chance. Brother Ming swung down the 5-colored thread and hit Luo's chest hard. But just when the line was about to fall, Luo Fenley shouted, "Aren't you afraid that the assembly factory will be destroyed and Kaido will come to settle the score with you?" Hearing this, Brother Ming's sadistic smile paused for a moment. At this time, Caesar, who had captured Luo and obtained the heart, was also surprised and shouted, "Joker! This is not my heart, there is no beating feeling that belongs to me." Brother Ming instantly understood that the reason why Luo let the Straw Hats sneak into Dressrosa was to destroy the SMLIE factory. Fuahehehe, it doesn't matter, I will deal with you first, and then deal with the Straw Hats one by one. Brother Ming raises his hand again. But he suddenly found that Luo's eyes had changed. Luo stared straight into the sky. Brother Ming also looked back and saw a burning black fire crow in the sky heading rapidly towards their direction. Itachi, one step ahead of the Wanli Sunshine, has arrived. Caesar almost simultaneously shouted in fear, "Uchiha Itachi! He is indeed here." Although Caesar didn't know what kind of battle took place in Punk Hasad, looking at Luo who was alive, he could confirm that this man named Uchiha Itachi definitely blocked Marine General Kizaru. Just when Brother Ming looked at Itachi on the black fire crow, Itachi had already raised the domineering Feng Huolin and slashed at him with a sword. Brother Ming raised his leg to cover his armed haki, and collided with Itachi's blade. Boom! After the explosion, both of them retreated. "Sure enough, you were just waiting for him. Furfurfurl." Brother Ming looked at Itachi and smiled darkly. The new member of the Straw Hat Gang, the guy with a higher bounty than the Straw Hat Kid. "After all, I was a step too late and didn't kill you, Luo." Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan has appeared, and he has his eyes on Brother Ming. "Sorry, I'm late, Luo. Is this Doflamingo?" "That's right, Mr. Weasel. Luo was already panting, with bloodshot eyes hanging from the corners of his mouth. Just now, he originally wanted to use the room force field to escape, but Ming-Jie actually activated the fruit ability awakening to restrain him. Now the plan has changed, Itachi is in charge. Doflamingo has reneged on the deal, I need to bring Caesar back. Here, I understand, leave Doflamingo to me. Itachi stared at Brother Ming, and 3 wooden shurikens appeared in his palm. Brother Ming had already noticed the strange movement in Itachi's hand, and he smiled with some confusion. It is said that your ability is fire. How come you have this ability? When Brother Ming was confused, Itachi ignored him at all and threw his shuriken at Brother Ming. Brother Ming quickly jumped into the air to dodge. Did you throw away the concealed weapon? This is simply. Boom. Before Brother Ming finished speaking, he was knocked to the ground by a crossbar that suddenly appeared behind him. After falling to the ground, Hengmu quickly entangled Brother Ming. Joker. When Caesar screamed, Itachi had already jumped in front of Luo and cut off the lines that bound him with one knife. Luo was also very surprised. Master Weasel, have you mastered the ability to use root fruits to attack? Well, I've only mastered a little bit. Itachi's Sharingan was turning rapidly, and he noticed that the lines under his feet were continuously recovering with Ming-Jie as the center. Suddenly, a vine whip-like line attacked Itachi from the side. Itachi pulled Luo to dodge the linear vine whip, and threw Luo next to Caesar with one hand. It's great that you're here, Mr. Itachi. Luo has already picked up Caesar. You go first. Itachi looked at Doflamingo, who broke through the crossbar and stood up. Luo knew that although he hadn't explained clearly yet, Itachi already understood. But Mr. Itachi's family, here. Is there another marine general? He is already approaching this way. Just now, Itachi in Mangekyo Sharingan state had quickly surveyed the surrounding situation. Luo was stunned again by Itachi. He could only sigh in his heart, what an amazing sight and experience, and immediately picked up Caesar. I'll put him down and he'll come back to you right away. Seeing Luo running away, Brother Ming wanted to pursue him, but he was already blocked by Weasel. Your opponent is me. Itachi had quickly formed a seal. Fire-style Phoenix Sage Fire Jutsu. Several fireballs spit out from Weasel's mouth, and Brother Ming retreated after seeing these fireballs. Hey, I'm actually very curious, as a newcomer to the Straw Hats, how does your bounty go? Brother Ming's words were interrupted again. When the Phoenix Sage Fire hit the ground, Itachi had already rushed over with the help of the sight temporarily blocked by the exploding fireball. Itachi raised his knife and stabbed Brother Ming, but Brother Ming quickly took a step back to dodge. After dodging, Brother Ming stretched out his 5 claws and hit Itachi. Itachi dodged directly from the air, turned over and raised his sword again, and Brother Ming stepped back again. Itachi slashed upward, slashed left, stabbed horizontally, and then turned around and slashed. Brother Ming had no intention of fighting for the time being, and just retreated blindly. Fu, speaking of which, I'm very curious about you. I can't find any information about you anywhere. It's like you appeared among the Straw Hats out of thin air. And your abilities. While Brother Ming was speaking, he had already noticed the horizontal beam that suddenly flew out from behind. This allowed him to jump deep again to avoid Itachi's attack. At the same time, behind Brother Ming, the steady steps were getting closer and closer. Itachi had also noticed that the general was coming. Are you trying to drag him here? Hey, what else? Now is not the time to fight you. I don't want to fight you. While Brother Ming was speaking, Fujitora had appeared behind him. Just now, I suddenly noticed an incredible aura. Hey Fujitora, there's a troublesome guy here now. Brother Ming looked at Fujitora with a sly smile. I heard that after the Straw Hats left Punk Hassad, this guy was offered a bounty of 680 million belly out of thin air. This is the first time in this world that the crew has offered a bounty to anyone who exceeds the captain. So, hey. Brother Ming has already started waving his fingers in the sky. What on earth did you Marines encounter in Punk Hassad? The bounty is 680 million. Fujitora has raised his cane knife. I understand, the person opposite me is Uchiha Itachi. Yeah, Fujitora. Now, as Brother Ming was talking, he suddenly discovered something strange. He suddenly turned back to look at Itachi, and saw blood flowing out of Itachi's eyes. This is. When Brother Ming was shocked, Itachi had already spoken. What I'm waiting for is when you two arrive. Ah, Tiras. Amaterasu. Amaterasu's black flames instantly covered the two of them. Hey, is this true? Brother Ming had been prepared for a long time. The reason why he put away the lines of the awakening fruit was to respond to this move immediately. Just when Amaterasu was about to reach the two of them, a huge line spreading from the ground blocked Amaterasu, and instead of Ming-jae and Fujitora, he was set ablaze. Brother Ming also grabbed Fujitora and immediately retreated more than 10 meters. The arrogance and sinister smile on his face had completely disappeared. He had long heard that when Blackbeard was causing trouble in the underground kingdom of Rilkeland, someone traveling with Luo was seriously injured to the point of dying using a fiery red skull and black flames. I didn't expect this thing to be true. Fujitora was also shocked. While receiving orders at the headquarters, he heard from a Kainu fleet admiral that Kizaru Porosalino was seriously injured by the pirate named Uchiha Itachi in Punk Hasad. He recalled the scene again. Especially the black flame he uses, the damage is far beyond that of ordinary flames. The flames even forced Kizaru to use light particle reorganization, which was the most harmful to his body's lifespan. That is to say, he shattered his body tissues into particles and then reorganized them to avoid the harm of the black flames. It's really disgusting. I have worked with Porosalino for many years and I have never seen him forced into that situation. And Porosalino's fruit ability is completely ineffective against him. When he turns on the fiery red skull state, he has a shield that can block all fruit attacks. Plus he seems to be able to drive the burning firebird forward, which even makes me suspect that his fruit is something that appeared hundreds of years ago. The Suzaku fruit is known as one of the 4 top phantom beast fruits in ancient times. I don't know why such a troublesome person appears in the Straw Hat Pirates. Although he couldn't see a Kainu, Fujitora could feel that a Kainu had unprecedented dignity when he said these words. Fujitora can also feel it now. In just an instant, the lines created by Doflamingo were burned away by the black flames, and the black flames that fell to the ground have not been extinguished yet. Heavenly Yaksha, thank you very much this time. Fujitora arched his body and drew his sword. What are you thanking me for, Fujitora? Even though you are blind, you can see clearly for me. There is a dangerous pirate in front of us with a bounty of 680 million. He is also a member of the Straw Hats. Now he is your main enemy, right? What you said makes sense, but as for the former Shichibukai, Trafalgar Law, my attitude is to arrest him, not to hunt him down. Just now, while Fujitora was speaking, he suddenly drew his sword and slashed at Itachi, who was already charging towards him. Upon seeing this, Doflamingo jumped onto the line that had been laid out just now. He's your rival now, Fujitora. After saying that, Doflamingo flew towards the coast as fast as possible. Heavenly Yaksha. You guy. As Fujitora spoke, he slowly pushed Itachi down with the knife in his hand. Itachi's strength was quite different from his. But, bang! The Itachi in front of him suddenly turned into a ball of mist. This is. Fujitora already knew about Itachi's general abilities, but he didn't expect that this clone could be fake. In the grass, Itachi, who had originally planned to attack from the flank, suddenly understood what Doflamingo was thinking. The purpose of bringing the general here is to keep me. It should be more than that. Sanji had already told Itachi about Doflamingo's plan. He should be trying to lure Marine over to better cut off Luo's retreat and help him capture Luo. Now I just find that I have come, and I have temporarily changed my mind, not to fight with myself. Itachi then understood why Doflamingo was putting away his ability as soon as he saw him. If it is like this, Weasel had quietly retreated through the woods. Stopping this general is no longer his main purpose. But at this moment, Fujitora slowly turned his gaze in the direction of Itachi. So fast, when did you get there? The moment Fujitora faced Itachi, Itachi immediately formed a seal. But before the seal was issued, he suddenly fell to the ground. For a moment, Itachi felt as if a huge boulder was weighing on his body. Fujitora was slowly approaching Itachi. Speaking of which, whatever the true purpose of Heavenly Yaksha is. For Marine now, your danger level has exceeded Heavenly Yaksha. After saying that, Fujitora slowly raised the knife. He already knew in his heart that he must not underestimate this Uchiha Itachi. Howl! Fujitora slashed out a huge purple energy wave with his sword and slashed towards Itachi. Boom! The huge slash roared through the jungle, flattening everything in front of it. But at this moment, Fujitora frowned. I saw that weasel had jumped into the air. Have you broken my gravity restraint? Just now, when the slash was about to come in front of Itachi, Itachi gathered his haki and learned how others used to break genjutsu to burst out his haki, breaking Fujitora's gravity suppression. Now, Itachi's Mangekyo Sharingan was bleeding once again. He has realized that the general in front of him is not a Logia fruit user, but Paramesha. Amaterasu. Fujitora's body was instantly ignited by Amaterasu. The black flames immediately engulfed Fujitora. This is. Fujitora immediately understood that this was the black flame that Akainu Fleet Admiral had said. The flames quickly ignited the clothes on his upper body and covered his skin directly. Itachi had formed the seal at the same time. Wood-style wood blade. 3 horizontal beams instantly appeared around Fujitora, stabbing directly at Fujitora for a finishing blow. But at this moment, Fujitora, who was covered in black flames, burst out with a dark purple aura. Fall from the sky. As Fujitora shouted, the Amaterasu black flames on his body were peeled off. He was slowly pressed to the ground, and the 3 wooden blades that stabbed Fujitora were directly crushed. Fujitora forcefully used gravity to force Amaterasu off his body. At the same time, the ground around Fujitora began to collapse on a large scale. Even Itachi, who had just landed, was affected, and his body began to fall uncontrollably. Before he could figure out whether Amaterasu was stripped away or directly destroyed by this ability, Fujitora rushed in front of Itachi almost instantly. Itachi noticed that this was not teleportation, but an extremely fast sprint using gravity transition. Your Excellency, it is indeed terrible. Fujitora dragged his burned body with the knife edge raised high. Tiger. Itachi still wanted to dodge, but he was too late to break the gravity suppression and was directly hit by this blow. As the trees were blown away, the ground was lifted up, and the ferret was directly hacked hundreds of meters away. It flew deep into the woods. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.